Right when you are.
Good evening and welcome to the June 5th, 2025 meeting of the Town of Southampton Zoning Board of Appeals. This meeting is being held live and also via video conferencing in accordance with the Town Board's enactment of Local Law Number 14 of 2022. Our next meeting and those following will also be held in person here at Town Hall and will continue to allow for remote participation, so please keep checking the town's website for updates and any new information. If you wish to view tonight's live meeting only and not participate, please do not join the Zoom meeting and instead go to the town's website for viewing access. With that, I'd like to have you join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
For those of you here with us tonight, in case of an emergency evacuation, please exit through the rear doors of this room, down one of the staircases across the hall, and continue outside through the main entrance. Do not attempt to use the elevators during an emergency evacuation. In case of a medical emergency, the automated external defibrillator and first aid kit are both located in the hallway on this floor opposite the elevator. Restrooms are located across the hall from this room. We'll begin this meeting with public hearings. We have applicants and members of the public here with us live and also standing by via Zoom webinar, which is being moderated by CTV. CTV will mute the speakers on Zoom until it's their time to give testimony before the board. Please be patient. If you find that you're having difficulties accessing the hearings, visit the town clerk's meeting portal and click on the instructions link. Also, for those of you in this boardroom, please silence your cell phones and refrain from speaking to one another as it interferes with the recording of our proceedings. Tonight, Board Member Helen Burgess is participating via Zoom. A reminder that applicants, agents, and members of the public speaking other than attorneys will be sworn in, will state their address for the record, and will offer their testimony as it relates to the application before the board. In order to consider properly every application before us tonight, individuals commenting on a particular application have a time limit of 3 minutes. Also, before handing in any submissions to the board tonight, please make sure the documents identify the ZBA application name and tax map number. The application name should also be written on your certified receipts. Unless otherwise stated, at the end of an individual application hearing, all applications will remain open for written comments for all purposes until a set date. Those written comments can be addressed to members of the board and sent via email, mail, and/or dropped off at Town Hall to the board secretary, Candace Cowell, in the building department. At this time, I'd like to have a motion to approve the minutes of our May 15, 2025 meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. John, would you take us through the agenda for tonight?
Yes, turning to number 9 on the agenda, 94 Dune Road Holding Corp., 94 Dune Road, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-385-1-37.3. I move to adjourn the hearing on this application to September 4th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Number 13 on the agenda, 2297 Montauk LLC, 2297 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-86-1-3. I move to adjourn the secret resolution on this application to July 17th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Turning to the decision agenda, the decision of Janice Lee Golson, 3014 North McGee Street, Tuckahoe, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-129-2-7.1. I move to adjourn the decision on this application to July 3rd.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
The application of Eric Grave and Carola M. Grave, 9 Rebadon Lane,
Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-211-4-2. I move to adjourn the decision on this application to July 17th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Repin?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
The application of Atterbury LLC, 20 Westway Drive, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-233-2-38. I move to reopen the application for written submissions, or reopen the hearing for written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Repin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
And I move to close the hearing on the application of Atterbury LLC for decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Application of Permelin of Bridgehampton 360 LLC, Permelin of Bridgehampton 360 LLC, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 900-83-1-22.1 and 23.5. I move to reopen the hearing on this application for the acceptance of written submissions.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Repin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
I move to close the hearing on the application of Permelin of Bridgehampton 360 LLC for decision later tonight.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And finally, the application of Margaret Zack and Robert Zack, 24 Old Fort Lane, Shinnecock Hills, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-211-4-54. I move to adjourn. I move for a final adjournment of the decision on this application to September 18th.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Repin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Turning to the top of the agenda, application number 1, John Noonan, 284 East Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-230-1-15. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for the proposed reconstruction and expansion of a one-family dwelling on a non-conforming parcel containing 2 one-family dwellings. 1. Section 330-116 extension as it relates to 330-167B specific types of variances for a 40% increase in floor area, and 2. Section 330-34 business districts table of dimensional regulations for a total side yard setback from 100 feet to 56 feet 1.5 inches, and a minimum side yard setback from 50 feet to 26 feet 6.5 inches, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Okay, are any of you attorneys? Okay, then let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please individually state your name and addresses.
John Noonan, 284 East Montauk Highway, Hampton Bays.
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning, 4 Happy Acres Drive, Shirley.
Paul Clinton, architect of record, 27 Sherwood Road, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, so who's going to start us off in describing this application?
Will. So, the subject property is located on the south side of East Montauk Highway in Hampton Bays and fronts on Shinnecock Bay. The property is currently zoned Resort Waterfront Business, RWB, and it complies with the required lot area at 40,000 square feet, where it is 42,700 square feet, 702, sorry, but is non-conforming to the zoning district for lot width. It's less than 150 feet overall. It's also a very irregular shaped lot, as you can see on the survey that was submitted. So the property currently contains 2 legal single-family residences. In accordance with the original certificate of occupancy that was issued in March of 1987, which listed a 1-story residence with an attached 2-car garage, as well as a 1-story wood frame dwelling located adjacent to the bulkhead. So at the present time, Mr. Noonan and his family wish to demolish the larger residence. with the attached garage and replace it with a new two-story single-family residence with a detached garage in approximately the same location. It's within a similar building envelope of the existing structure and mostly holds the pre-existing non-conforming setbacks of the residence that's proposed to be demolished. Let's see. So since the property contains two legal dwellings, we are required to come here for a variance from 330-167B in order to reconstruct this dwelling with the second floor. So the proposed residence will be compliant with the requirement for expansion of allowable habitable space of 50% maximum. We're proposing 40% expansion overall, and that's outlined in Paul's plans. So due to the non-conforming nature of the lot with the two residences, Art Gerhauser in the building department who reviewed this application told us that we are not allowed to get variances from or hold the pre-existing non-conforming structures because it's a non-conforming use on the property. So that's why we need setback variances that sound really good. So that being said, the proposed new residence requires variances from section 330-34 for the total side yard setback at 56 feet, 1.5 inches, where 100 feet is required, and a minimum side yard setback of 26 feet, 6.5 inches, where 50 feet is required. So I just want to note that the existing structures, the total side yard is 65 feet, 1.5 inches, and the minimum is at 30 feet, 6 inches. So I calculate that to be about a 9-inch difference from the total side yard, more that we're asking for, and 4 inches from the minimum. So the residence, the angle of the residence has changed a little bit. It's a little more, slightly more square, I guess you could say, with that northwestern lot line. And part of the setback relief, I guess we're seeking, is more so for the proposed wraparound porch on the northern side of the dwelling and less so for the dwelling itself. We received letters of non-jurisdiction from both the town's environment division because this is over 200 feet away from wetlands. Not only that, but it's also 50 feet landward of a functional bulkhead. We also received a letter of non-jurisdiction from the New York State DEC because this is higher than the 10-foot contour elevation. There's no FEMA flood zone here, so that's not an issue, and we're fully compliant with pyramid. The existing residence is in disrepair and is not really habitable at this time, so Mr. Noonan and his family are really looking forward to being able to construct this so we have much bigger space to live in, because right now they're living in the smaller cottage.
Near the bulkhead, down
Yes.
by the, okay, that's,
It's flooded consistently.
How much square footage is that?
Approximately 700.
Yeah, 7 and change, I'd say.
And the idea is to keep that,
Yes.
not improve it?
Yeah.
Okay. John, this is your application. Do you want to start us off?
Sure. So I'm looking at what was handed up to us, the letter
Oh, yeah.
from, if you would
Yeah,
talk about
I'm
that a
going
little
to
bit.
mention it. Thank you for bringing
It
it
looks to be that the property owned by this letter writer, Mr. Poyer, is to the east.
Yes, that's the CCAP property is what's
Um,
shown on the
I'm a
survey.
little confused as to his concern about the use of the driveway.
Of his driveway. So this is a rough spot. If you miss it, you're kind of stuck.
And I did.
Yeah. It's
I
hard-
did it
it's
about
hard
3
to
times. I had to
find.
go around to
And
find
it's
that.
at that spot where people are coming
yeah,
in from
it's crazy.
North Road and there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
So if you miss it, the next thing you're gonna do is go turn around in their driveway probably, or you could go down, what's that road? Right over there.
Victoria or South Valley Road,
Boatyard, I think,
Yeah,
Ocean View.
whatever.
yeah.
Well,
So basically, I'll read the letter from Bryce Poyer, who's
Let me
the
ask,
president.
let me
Yeah.
just ask quickly. So there's a gravel driveway on the survey.
Yes?
Is that the same private road that I'm seeing on Google Maps? There's a Jenny Rose private drive.
No, that.
How is that situated to the property?
For here.
I'm not sure what they're calling Jenny Rose Private Drive.
It may be for the, because if you look at the survey, there's 6 lots just to the northwest of this.
Mhm.
So maybe that's what you're seeing is
Okay.
there must be a road access for all of those lots.
Yeah, there's a dirt driveway to the east that accesses a handful of properties, including my mother's property.
Okay, and that's not an access to
No.
your property at all?
It's our driveway is the only, just strictly for our
Mhm.
property.
That was the
There's
one I
also
went
to
down.
the east, there's
That was the one I went down.
to the east, there's another driveway, gravel driveway that goes to the Eddy property, which is adjoining our property as well. There's 2 Eddy properties, one on each
Oh,
side.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did get I got an email from Bryce Poyer, who is the president of Whitewater Outfitters, who is probably the property that's most impacted by this project because the other houses are either on their own little road or seaward of this proposed residence. So this is the boat and boating commercial
Whitewater.
property there. So he says, I'm in receipt of your letter dated May 22nd, 2025, regarding the ZBA application for 284 East Montauk Highway, scheduled for June 5th, 2025. I'm writing this email in support of the neighboring project for John and the redevelopment of the property with a new residence. John is a great neighbor in the community. Given the location of the driveway entrance to their property along Montauk Highway, I would just like to ask that no contractors or construction vehicles use our driveway or parking lot as a turnaround. My property contains a family-friendly retail establishment, and the parking lot oftentimes has people, children, and pets. Please let me know if I can provide additional assistance with the project.
It will be a challenge.
Yeah.
I mean.
So is this this gravel driveway is proposed?
No,
No,
it's
it's there.
existing.
Okay. Okay.
It's just hard to find.
Well, it's hard to find, but my question is, why, if this gravel driveway is straight off of East Montauk Highway, why is he concerned about turning?
Because this will
Vehicles
be the
turning
next
around.
driveway.
Miss it.
Okay, if you miss it,
Yeah,
I
and he's a
understand.
retail
I understand.
Establishment, so he's
As
concerned.
one, as one who did exactly what the boatyard complained about, before you realize you're there, you're past it.
Yeah, yeah,
and you
totally.
And then you go, oh, and then you pull around in the next available
You
place.
can't make a U-turn because there's a median right
Yeah.
there. So you have to
I know.
actually drive down to.
I know, my GPS sent me back into the thing and I had to circle around.
But
It was like-
realistically, the neighbor is asking that you instruct the people working on the
Correct.
property not to use that property. And presumably, they're gonna figure out before too long how to get onto the
Sure.
property.
That would be the hope.
Have you heard from any other neighbor? I mean, that was my really only concern. I think that the amount of relief being requested is very minimal. It seems absolutely reasonable. I'm just wondering if any of the other neighbors have
I actually
weighed in.
grew up, and then my mother lives next door with my sister and my niece, and I grew up there, lived there, and my whole life. But I know I've known since 1972 every neighbor there, with the exception of Bryce Boyer, who I've known him for now about 20 years, and
Mhm.
great guy. So I know everyone there. And,
Okay.
And you'll be able to accommodate the construction, there's like a
Oh, yeah.
lawn, there's a big lawn.
Oh,
that's-
yeah.
I mean,
That's-
you'll be
that's-
able
that's
to
not an
use, you're
issue.
gonna end up using that lawn because even when I pulled into the driveway, I had trouble backing around and going back out.
Yeah,
It's very
use the
difficult.
lawns. First construction, it's okay.
Yeah, it's a crazy piece of property, I mean, it really is, and I agree with you, John.
Well, did you want to know like why it's carved out like that? Because there was the Any family owned the adjoining property. I don't know if you can see it. I mean, the adjoining property here,
Mhm.
this property, and where Whitewater is now was the Hampton-based forest. And at some, I think the original owner, Any, bought it in the 50s. And two brothers one brother had this house, the other brother had the house that's right here, and they both operated the Hampton-based florist for a time. Then the one brother, Charlie Ennie, took that over and ran the florist. So at some point, they subdivided around both of their houses so that they each had their own property. I don't know what year that was. And they subdivided around where the florist was. And that's why it makes it tricky, because there's only one little spot on the property big enough to build, really, and then it's like, super narrow.
Yeah, these crazy angles.
I concur with John.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this application? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to comment on the application of Noonan 284 East Montauk Highway? Is there anyone on Zoom who wishes to comment?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, John, this is yours.
Okay, I move to close the public hearing on this application, leave it open for written submissions to June 20th with the decision on July 3rd.
Second.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. King.
Aye.
Mr. Redpen.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks, Deb. Good seeing you.
Number 2 on the agenda, the application of Watermill Building Supply Realty LLC, 1110 Montauk Highway, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-102-1-17.1. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for proposed 2-lot subdivision. For proposed lot number 1, relief from Section 330-105K, schedules of minimum and maximum floor area from the allowed 15,000 square feet to 42,697 square feet on a 172,155 square foot lot, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Attorneys? All right, well, then I don't have to swear him, but I'll swear the two of you in. All right, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but? Okay, please state your name and address.
Vincent A. Gaudiello. I'm with the Rayner Group. Our offices are at 860 West Montauk Highway in Watermill.
Okay,
Tom Farrell. I live at 15 Tall Tree Circle in Riverhead, and I'm one of the owners of Trade Supply Group, who are the owners of the property.
okay. And if you could just introduce yourself and state your address.
My name is Robert Fischetti. I'm the attorney for the applicant, and my firm is Vernon and Fischetti, 320 Hampton Road, Southampton.
Okay, so do you want to start us off? on
Yes.
this application?
Yes, thanks. So as you know, we're here about 1110 Montauk Highway, which is on the north side of Montauk Highway. It's about 300 feet west of Skull Hole Road. It is 257,356 square foot lot. It's in the highway business zone, and it's with what you might recognize as Watermill Building Supply. So most of that improvement, as you'll see in a minute, is on the west side of this larger property. So the overall project that we have a portion of before you here today is a 2-lot subdivision that's being reviewed by the planning board, as well as it's being simultaneously reviewed with site plans for both of the lots. So lot 1 is proposed at 173,155 square feet, lot 2, 85,201. The site plan involves demolishing the rear building on what's going to be lot 1, the west lot, and demolishing the 3 T sheds and replacing it with 1 storage building. And then the new lot would have 1 13,000 square foot building on it. As I said, is being
The
reviewed.
new lot or the
new
lot one?
No, the new lot, lot 2. would
All
have
right,
the
yeah, but
new
what, on lot one, there's a proposal.
Yes, we're demolishing the T sheds and the storage
And you're
building and
replacing it-
replacing with 1 storage building.
Okay, and how large is that?
That storage building is
24,000 square feet, roughly?
All right, what does it say on here? 24,900.
and then the overhang is another. It's 18,450, and then the overhang is another 6,525. We have what was handed out with your. It came with the application, but just in case I brought extras, since there's a lot on the maps, I asked the Rayner Group just to put our square footages into
Oh,
a letter.
I think we had this in our app.
You did. Just in case.
We don't need to-
Yeah, it was already submitted. It's just an extra copy, just because it helps to sort of lay things out. So, as far as where we stand with things, the planning board issued a pre-app report and a pre-submission report on March 13th for both applications. And then we submitted in May final applications preliminarily so that the planning board can get secret started. We had submitted a long form EAF. Planning board did not require a full traffic study. We just did a limited traffic analysis. We have applications pending for the health department and the DOT. So as you know, we're here today for relief from 330-105K, which limits in the highway business district buildings and building complexes to 15,000 square feet. Enacted in 2002, as you know, primarily to deter big box stores. The plans submitted that you have here are both the survey, an existing survey, a subdivision map showing that, and then site plans for both properties. We also submitted elevations and floor plans from an architect to the extent you want to look at those, and a landscape plan because there will be full landscaping. Obviously, that's all in front of the planning board, but we did put that in the packet in case you wanted to review any of that. The reason for the variance is because this property, as it stands now, is pre-existing non-conforming as far as it was developed before the 15,000 square foot law came into effect. It's improved right now with about 44,237 square feet of roofed structures, which is about 17.1% of the lot area. By subdividing and pulling some land away from that, it throws off the ratio and we're increasing the degree of nonconformity. We're actually, for the existing business, we're bringing the square footage down by about 1,500 square feet. So the square footage for the existing business is going down, but then of course we're adding the 13,000 square foot building. So as far as
Wait a
Let
second.
me stop you for a second.
Agreed.
Yeah. So lot one,
Mhm.
what is, just go through
Sure.
because I
Yeah,
just
yeah,
need to do this.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
So what is the existing square footage of lot one?
The existing square footage of lot one.
The entire tract?
Yes.
Is 44,237. That's that first total shown on this.
All right, that's for the total lot.
That's for the whole, everything that's there
Okay,
right
and
now.
then proposed, if you were to,
Yes.
to
So
go,
if you, so for lot one, we're proposing 42,697 square feet.
okay,
Okay, and that's all lot one.
okay, lot two,
Is just the 13,000 square foot building. which
it's not 15 now,
No,
it's
we
down to
agreed with the
13.
planning board to scale it
Okay.
down to 13
I saw
to
that.
try to keep things,
Mhm.
in scale.
Mhm.
So that's where we are.
But you just said lot one is gonna have one proposed building of 42,000 about?
Yes, so
No,
we're
it's
taking,
two buildings, it's an existing and a new one.
no, but lot one, so let me put out the map, that way we can.
Lot one, it has an existing building,
Lot one.
and they're going to take down these other
Right,
sheds.
that's what I asked him. How big is the new building? He said 42,000.
697.
No, that's the total. That's the total for both buildings, from what I understand.
No, it's not.
No, it's gonna be 30.
That's why it's confusing.
There's one building on one lot, and then that second lot is gonna be 42,000.
Yeah, but there are two buildings on
Right,
the
yeah,
second
right now
lot.
at the property, there's a front
Right now,
building,
yeah.
which is the store. And
Right,
then there's a rear building, which is an enclosed rear building. And then there are 3 T-sheds, which are roofed. Where the front building, which you know is watermill building supply, that's staying, nothing's happening with that. The rear storage building and the rear 3 T-sheds are being demolished and replaced with just one storage building in the back.
and how large is
If
that?
I may,
That's 24,000.
If I may, the buildings in the back are varying sizes and configurations. We're just reorganizing that square footage into a singular building.
So what's the difference between the total of what you have now on the area you're describing and the building that you want to put in place?
The total square footage is about 1,500 square feet less.
But does that include the T-sheds or whatever you call them? Because they take up a huge amount of
Yes,
space,
those-
and they,
those are
maybe they're
included
not
in our
quote
roof.
buildings,
Yes,
but
they're included in our roofed structures, yes, they're all included in those calculations.
Okay.
And they'll be gone.
and they're included in the existing calculation
Yes,
of
correct.
44,000.
Yes.
Okay.
On this document that was submitted indicates what was existing and what is proposed on what we call lot one.
Okay.
Okay, So, you know, we don't look at this as an undesirable change to the character of the neighborhood. I think, you know, the building that's proposed is consistent with the character of the neighborhood. The use is consistent, as you probably know. There's, starting at Scuttlehold, there's a special trade contractor business, there's Sabrosa, there's Hess. It's all commercial, all straight through. The behind and to the side, there's special trade contractor. So, you know, as far as the character of the neighborhood, we're really not changing anything. We'll still be bigger lots than really anyone along that stretch. We'll still have a wider frontage, each individual lot, than anyone along that stretch. The proposed buildings, you know, the spacing and the setback and everything is all consistent with the character of the neighborhood. We have the elevations that we can pull out to show you if you like. You know, as Tom said, the whole idea of this is to consolidate things and to clean things up. But
You said there was a landscape plan,
yes,
was there?
That was in a packet. Tom's got it
Oh,
right
it's
here.
the new one,
Yes.
it's the new packet that came today.
So I'm going to skip around a little on the 5 parts. You know, there's no environmental negative impact of the application. It's being reviewed by the planning board for SECRA. And as I said, this is a traffic analysis. We already did a phase 1 archaeological, no returns or anything like that. It's really not, you know, it's disturbed land. It's between Montauk Highway and the railroad tracks. So it's, you know, we're not breaking any new ground or anything like that. It's not a self-created hardship because this was fully developed before the 15,000 square feet came into place. And now jumping back to, is it substantial? Is it substantial in relation to the neighbors? No, I think it keeps the same aesthetic. As I said, for the business that's continuing, that one business, we're actually going slightly down. If you looked at this in like a raw land sort of hypothetical, we have 257,000 plus square feet. You know, if this was vacant, you know, we made 5 50,000 square foot lots with a little extra, you know, and each one at 15,000, we're talking, you know, like 75,000 square feet or 29.1% of this total lot area. If it was a blank slate, what we're proposing is much less. We're proposing 21.642 of the whole lot, right? Between the final results, lot 1 and lot 2. So I don't think it's substantial in relation to what, you know, what would be done in a raw land sort of scenario. In relation to other decisions, you know, this board had 299 County Road 39A in front of it, which added 5,000 plus square feet to a pre-existing 17,000. They ended up with 22,834, which was 22.78% of the total lot area. 34 Montauk Highway, BMW, they added 2,000 to a pre-existing 27,000. They ended up with 31% of the total lot area covered. Mercedes, same thing. They added another 7,000 to a pre-existing 20,000. You know, as it relates to other variances of this nature, I don't think this is substantial. I think we'll end up with 2 lots here that will be able to operate separately, but you know, they will be you know, related to each other as far as the business goes.
Rob, the uses on the lots are both what, special exception uses?
No, it's a wholesale lumber, wholesale plumbing.
Permitted in highway
Yeah,
business?
permitted,
Okay.
So yeah, the existing will remain wholesale lumber, and then the new building will be wholesale plumbing. That's really all I had as far as the description of what we're asking for and everything else. Obviously, we have everyone here, and we're happy to answer any questions.
Well, I don't know if other board members went, but I actually went to the site. I go there frequently. But this time I walked in the back.
Okay.
And it is covered wall to wall with lumber. Stacks of lumber everywhere, almost like, you know, within 2 feet of each other, the big stacks.
A lot of it is transitory, but
Yes,
that's
I
the whole
understand, but-
reason for this.
But, yeah, no, I get it. But what you're saying is that this new storage area is supposed to accommodate all of that, except what somebody explained to me, the very long pieces of lumber which can't get in because of the doors and whatever.
This new building is quite big. It's a drive-through building. And
All right, but, so my question
yes,
is,
everything will be moved in.
everything is gonna be moved indoors, because it's on the side, it's on the back, it's like all over.
The
It
owner
covers,
applicant doesn't want it like that either.
totally
Everything-
covers the sublot of 2, oh, yeah, lot 2, totally covers that right now.
They want to preserve the quality of their materials by storing them inside. They want to clean up the
Makes
site.
sense.
They want to make it less
Yeah.
dangerous for people passing through. So that's absolutely the purpose of this. Is to
We'll also be
bring everything indoors.
paving the entire site as well.
Majority of it.
Majority of it, yeah. You know, it's a very busy area, I mean, in terms of traffic. I mean, you know, for us to approve this as a, you know, a subdivision, I mean, there's, in my opinion, a lot of traffic concerns.
We have a traffic expert working on that. We submitted a limited traffic study or limited traffic analysis to the planning board. The planning board, after our experts' testimony, decided that a full traffic study was not necessary based on the type of use. So we're looking at a lot of square footage here, but there's a lot of square footage that is strictly storage. This is not, we don't have 40,000+ square feet
Well,
of
you're bringing
of
in a whole new
space.
business.
Well, yes, but we're bringing in a small 13,000 square
But
foot.
it's a whole new business, and it's right across
Yes,
from
but it's
Rose
not
Grove.
fully
I mean, it's-
new because that business exists within when you go into Watermill Building Supply, there's a plumbing section. That's just being moved over. We're not creating a completely new business.
You're not diminishing the size of that building. You're
We're
gonna
going
fill the
down by
space up with other
We're going down by
things.
1,500 or so square feet on that lot, but yes.
So if you've been to the property, we feel our bath and plumbing showroom is not great. It's kind of shoved behind a retail store.
Right.
So to remain competitive, we're trying to put it into this newer building and make it newer and nicer. And to your point, in addition to selling bath and plumbing supplies, we'll be selling, you know, the pipes, the valves, and the fittings that go with it. That's what we'll be adding.
The part of the traffic analysis was looking at the rate of people coming in and out. There's much less on the weekend when traffic is worse out here because a lot of this is, 9 to 5 kind of trade contractors and things like that. The report to the planning board has figures from, how many people are actually coming in and out of Watermill Lumber. So that will all be reviewed as part of secret. Like we're not going to get to the finish line until that is all reviewed
Well,
by.
Do you want to say anything?
This is Claire's project, but I was at the meeting. So, the planning board had very lengthy discussions with the applicant over multiple meetings because the planning board raised a number of concerns, right down to truck circulation within the property. You might recall we looked at relocating access points, shifting this and doing that. But what I would say, we submitted the EAF to planning.
Yes.
So, you're going to coordinate. It's a type 1 action under secret because it's over 50 parking spaces. So you've got to coordinate with planning, and then planning is going to take lead agency. And, so we did get a traffic analysis. I forgot that was done already. I don't recall the exact discussion, but it was reviewed as part of some general discussions with the planning board. But we didn't review everything yet in the context of the secret review, which is going to look at all of the issues. So we still have to get through that. I don't know what the end result of that is.
And we have to get through DOT as well. We're before DOT.
If I may interject, one of the reasons where we are with this application is we made an application to DOT because we felt as far as the process here that's before the town with the planning board and the pre-application, we wanted to make sure that the comments that we were getting from the planning board and the comments we were getting from the DOT were somewhat in line. We didn't want to get caught in a catch-22 where the DOT was pushing us in one direction and the town planning board was in another. And with respect to the DOT, with our initial submission, as far as the location of the proposed new curb cut, they found that to be, in my opinion, optimal because of the alignment with Rose Hill Road and the reason for the queuing and the way the center line works. And if we want to get into that discussion with this board, we certainly can.
That's true. Part of when you're dealing with highways, Montauk or major arterial roads, we try to have access driveways line up across the street from each other for any number of driveways.
The existing entrance exit will also be limited to only right turns out. So there are several things that we're doing.
And even the existing access to the west needs to be modified in accordance with some requirements of the DOT. And all that information that was taken was brought to the planning board. And then through that, we went through a kind of a review, more than one would expect at a pre-application phase. about the circulation in these locations of these vehicle access points.
But the
Well,
end
you're
was,
not the only enterprise that's there. I mean,
Yes.
you've got, Sab Rosa, I think it's Sab Rosa, and you've got,
yes,
you've got
and Hess,
the Hess.
yes, there's a landscape place.
Yeah,
I will-
and then you've got the buildings in the back that access
Come
through
on to Scuttle Hole.
Scuttle Hole, but Scuttle Hole is right there. I mean, it's really close.
say-
So it's a challenge, let me put it that way. It's a big challenge.
As Anthony said, we did have a good number of conversations and meetings with the planning board over this, and they were skeptical. But I will say, by the end of all of that, we ended up not with a full traffic study that needed to be done, but a limited scope analysis, because the planning board was moved by what we had presented so far. The sort of preliminary review, like we did in the pre-app stage, pushed them from a full traffic study to a limited traffic analysis because of the information that we presented, which I think was very convincing that may look like we're adding a lot of activity to a busy area. And I'm not saying we're not adding any activity, but it's really not an egregious amount based on all of those figures and statistics that were submitted in that report.
Bob, this is your application. Do you have any questions you want to raise?
Actually, it's John.
Oh, John. Is it? No, it's not.
It's mine.
Yeah.
It's John
No,
R.
I'm sorry. I'm saying Bob. I was thinking you. Go ahead. Sorry. Go
There's
ahead.
actually nothing else I can add. I mean, you took care of all of that building's coming down and.
Right. I mean, I think that, the idea that you're going to try to get rid of the garbage that's in the back, it's not garbage, but you know what I'm saying. It's really crowded and
It's
it's
going to be a
just,
very streamlined site when we're
yeah.
done.
I mean,
Yes.
it's, and I think dangerous. I mean, for anybody who works there, I mean, there's just so
Yes.
much going on between the lifts and the,
Yes, there's going to be,
This is going to completely streamline circulation through the site and how the forklift operators move.
yeah.
we submitted a full circulation plan to the planning board. There's going to be signage in the back. There's going to be customers driving through that building, so that everything is going to be, cleaned up and closed up at night.
Part because it's a type 1 action, I'm not predicting anything, but this is the type of thing where if the planning board, let's say, wanted to impose certain conditions, for example, on a neg deck, let's do that so this board knows exactly what, site plan conditions would be imposed to address any concerns. I just have one question. Katie, you can tell me if I'm way out of line. I've been known to be out of line before.
I just called him Bob.
It's okay. You mentioned, Rob,
Your name
an
is wrong.
analysis that says if we were to fully subdivide this property and then put individual buildings on there, we would come up with 75,000 square feet, something like that. I'm just curious. I'm not asking you to do work, but do you have a map that shows anything like that? Something, I'm just curious.
No, I didn't. It was just the numbers. I didn't draw it
That's
out.
fine. It just, I've asked the question just, because that could be compelling sometimes.
It was
to
just for
see,
purposes of example.
what kind of potential build out.
Right.
I'm not asking for additional work. I was merely curious.
Even that left.
It does seem like it's gonna clean up
Oh, yeah.
that property. though.
Yeah, I mean, Katie, what do we do at this point? Do we wait for the secra, we have to have a secra resolution, we've got to wait for the whole process.
Yeah, I mean, and this happens all the time. There's no full application before the planning board right now. You just said it, right? You did
I
the
just submitted last month the final.
The final
So the final subdivision and full site plan application. It's missing health department and DOT and everything, but we submitted the application fee and the preliminary application so that they could start secret.
Okay, well then I guess but that is my question. Will the planning board be coordinating?
Yes,
The
that's my
planning
understanding.
board will be, but let me finish what I'm gonna say. Is the planning board, typically this happens and everybody says, oh, the planning board's doing secret. If they don't have have they deemed your application complete?
We can't
no.
deem an application complete regardless until secret is done, so the planning board wouldn't deem it complete.
But my question is this board conducting secret or is the planning board conducting secret?
What I'm suggesting is because the planning board hasn't coordinated yet. It's not my project, so I didn't realize that a final came in, but we're
Yeah.
here. So I'm gonna suggest, because it's a type 1 action, have the zoning board initiate the coordination, and then the planning board's still gonna do what it does. They'll establish themselves as lead agency.
Okay.
And so I think we could do it like that. That wouldn't be a
All
problem.
right, I mean, that makes more sense. We have a complete application, right? I mean, and that's, so my only, so I would say, Anthony said he was gonna get the long form EAF. This board can coordinate secra. And then, the planning board is gonna want lead agency, so we'll do it like we've done the other ones. We coordinate SECR, we set a date for a lead agency, then we put it off again for that lead agency to do SECR. And at that point, I mean, I know Robbie keeps saying, you know, the planning board is satisfied without, you know, without a traffic or whatever, but they could change their mind, and that's what I think this board is saying, like, we need all the information as well.
Well, the board, just so you know, with respect to the traffic, brought to our attention that it would be their intentions to hire a consultant, that we would be responsible to.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, Rob kept on saying, oh, they don't
Right,
need all this.
and
Well, it
as a
sounds like
result
they
of
might.
their comments, you know, we would have to respond to that.
Correct. Yeah, yes, I mean, what you're
I
saying
just
sounds a
wanted
lot
to-
more in line with,
Yeah, I'm not trying to speak for the
Yeah, I
planning board
just
and say
wanted
they wouldn't ever ask for that.
I'm just
but it sounds like they already have.
They didn't ask for a full traffic study. They asked for a traffic analysis. We prepared it and submitted it.
And then they'll get their own, and,
and they'll do
right.
All right, so before we, go to what action we need to take tonight, let me ask, is there any other person on the board who wishes to be heard on this? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on the Watermill Building Supply Realty application of 1110 Montauk Highway? Anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
No one.
Okay, so then what are you recommending to John,
Yeah,
since he got the lead on this?
Yeah, well, I believe Anthony thinks he can get the coordination letters together by tomorrow. Rob, I work with Anthony, because what we'll need is however many people we have to coordinate with, that's how many copies of the application we'll need. So if, the planning board already has this application,
Yeah, so I can get it too.
Yeah, so then, let's pretend those letters went out next week, it's gotta be 30 days. Let's say we sent out the letters on the 12th, our meetings in July are the 3rd and the 17th, right?
Yes.
Okay, so why don't we put it on for a lead agency resolution on July 17th, right? So somebody write that down, because I'm gonna
Okay.
change my calendar. And then,
We'll close on the
assuming planning board wants lead, Anthony, how long do you think the planning board would need? Another month, 2 months?
That's a good question in light of what Attorney Guardiello just said about them hiring someone to review the traffic. I have no idea if they're going to require that, but they may. So I don't know.
All right, so maybe we'll put it on, why don't we put it on for take testimony again on either September 18th? Does that sound reasonable? We'll put it on for to take testimony in the continuation of the public hearing on September 18th. And then Rob, if you find that they still haven't come to like a secret determination, you could just call us and then we adjourn it, and there's no fee for that because it's the it's town.
It's a town issue.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Okay, so then, we're voting on a resolution for coordinating and assigning lead agency 7/17, and then adjourning the hearing until September 18th.
Yes. Second.
Okay,
Does that make sense, Rob?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If by some miracle we get through the planning board sooner, could we request an earlier day?
No. I mean, if you want an earlier date, we can
we
set
can
it for
set
an
it, and
earlier
then
date.
we just have to adjourn if you're not
Can
through.
we try that just in case? That way.
Sure. You want to do September, what was it, September 4th?
Or 8/21 now.
Yeah, any little bit would help. That'd be
All
great.
right, let's do September 4th, because I
Okay.
think that's,
Because once we set it, it's impossible to,
No, it's hard to go backwards.
Yeah, so then I'm modifying the resolution to say that we are, we're going to do lead agency resolution on July 17th and adjourn the public hearing to September 4th.
Second.
Okay, Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonio,
Aye.
I'm telling you. Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
I'm fine.
All right, chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, number 3 on the agenda, application of Utopia Properties LLC, 599 Dune Road, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-392-2-3. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for the demolition of trellis and outdoor shower platform and for the construction of a pool, front covered porch with second-story covered balcony above a rear second-floor covered porch and a rear second-story deck. Relief from Town Code Section 138-9B, structural hazard areas. And 2, for a pool deck and stair to pool deck Section 138-9B and Section 330-46 coastal erosion management permit required, effect on zoning regulations, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
Are you an attorney?
I'm not.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Okay, please state your name and address.
Jeffrey Sands, 6 Evergreen Lane, G Squad, New York.
Okay, Jeffrey, you want to tell us about this application?
Yes. So, client bought this property about 2 years ago. Been there. Needs a lot of love. So we went forward to, we hired a pool guy to replace the pool. There was a giant pool on the street side, and it was cracked. And they actually built a new pool inside it. We got a building permit for it, but apparently it was they gave us a building permit, but they shouldn't have. For the swimming pool, yeah. Now we're asking for that as well to clear everything up. So the house is about 2,500 square feet. We're not adding any square footage to the house. Most of the work is happening on existing decks. So on the back of the house or the street side facing Dune Road, there's a trellis at a balcony that is being removed and being replaced with a first floor porch and a second floor porch. And on the ocean side, there's an existing porch with balcony above, and we're basically just converting the second floor balcony to a covered porch. There's also an entry staircase that's set in by the pool, and we were just pulling it out along the driveway. I didn't see that in the write-up, but and we're relocating the stair to the side, and we're replacing the septic system with an IA system. We have health department approval on that. And there is an outdoor shower purchased with the property down by the end of the boardwalk, and we're eliminating that by conservation. So pretty much it.
Okay, Bob, do you want to start us on the discussion
I know
here?
what the property is. Like you said, it needs a lot. It's a beautiful piece of property, but it needs a lot. The pool's staying where it is in the street side, right?
Yeah. It's a small pool inside the big pool.
So now it's gonna be a balcony upstairs, and then downstairs will be the porch.
Very modest. It's
I'm okay. Should be a big improvement in the property.
Yeah, I went to the property. It's in dire
Yeah.
need of, the cracked cement was really frightening. Normally I like to look around. I was getting nervous about going up any of the stairs, to be honest. I'm just a little confused on the street side, what you plan to do. I looked at the ocean side, and that is pretty clear because you've already started some construction there. But just explain that. The planter is going to stay, which is this big, massive cracked concrete thing.
I know.
And then, so above that, there's like a deck, and you're dropping a swimming pool inside the existing swimming pool? Or what was that? Oh, it's there.
Yeah, it's right now it was just a 20 by 40 or even bigger swimming pool. It was the full size of the deck, so basically the pool guy recommended, the grade beams were all there.
Yeah.
So it made sense to just
Make it smaller.
make it small. They built the pool right inside the other pool. They plan to just increase the decking around it. And they're gonna repair the handrails, and it's gonna look nice.
Let me get this straight, if I can. The existing structure stays where it is. You're basically playing around the ends with the pool and some decking and the planter, which is kind of collapsing.
Well, I don't think the planter's collapsing.
It looks like a cannonball hit the concrete corner, but
I think there was another plant or anything around it that
Oh, maybe they
that
took it
let
out.
that down.
I'm sure they'll have to reinforce it.
But in any case, so the house stays more or less the way it is, the pool stays more or less where it is, and this is an application for decking and a few other things around it. There's no other demolition, right? That's what I'm trying to get at.
Right, just that trellis,
The stairs, the existing
Stair, we're-
stairs are being removed.
right, and we're pushing, the stair is going to be outboard of the deck now, instead of they're cut into it,
Mm-hmm.
So the only thing that's new from the footprint are the stairs.
basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because the footprint is remaining the same, yeah.
You're adding to the porch,
No,
correct?
Well, the porches that are proposed are on the deck.
so the deck exists already. I think you're just gonna do something
Deck
above it.
exists, but there's a
Yeah.
new proposed walkway.
Right, that seems to be.
Existing stairs are gonna be removed. Trellis is gonna be removed. There's a proposed second-story porch, but apparently you don't need any relief for that.
That's where the trellis is now.
That's
No, on the
there.
other side, on the
The other side, it's on the ocean side.
on the ocean side.
Yeah, it's in the write-up.
Yeah.
Rear second
Right.
story porch.
Construction of a
Yeah, a
pool,
rear
uncovered
second-story
porch,
deck.
second story, yeah. Any other questions from the
I just
board?
have one for Anthony. Anthony, do you anticipate a coastal erosion hazard area administrator's letter that I didn't find in my packet?
I would imagine.
Yeah, the referrals are made.
The referral's made, so I'll see.
Okay.
Janice.
So we would want to, whatever we're doing, leave it open until that comes.
Janice will submit.
Any other questions from the board? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 599 Dune Road in West Hampton? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 599 Dune Road?
No one on Zoom.
Jeff, did you say something about conservation board?
It was from Teresa Mason. She mentioned that I had to remove the outdoor shower.
That's from Janice Shira. This letter,
Yeah.
Janice.
Oh, so we do have a referral from
Oh, we do
Janice?
have it.
We do.
Oh, okay. What does it say?
Pending coastal application will need to be amended to include any structures permitted by the ZBA. So if you're gonna have to, once we, I guess, make a decision, then you'll amend the application. Did you see this letter?
No, but I don't, my referrals are always all over the place. So I mean, if we have heard back from Janice, then we don't need to keep this open. Why don't you tell us what it says?
Okay, so survey needs to be revised. You've gotten the letter, correct? So you know what you need to
Janice
do.
says she doesn't have the letter either.
Okay.
I didn't have it.
Well, how come I have it? February 14th,
Let me go look, maybe I lost it.
it's addressed to Jeffrey Sands.
Because I was trying to do a referral, yes,
Okay,
I
so-
didn't say anything to the ZBA yet. I know, but I'm saying, I don't have the letter, in case I don't have the letter, because I didn't do a referral.
Ah.
So that's why I was confused.
So Jeff
Janice
went,
jumped the gun
How'd
on
she
this
know?
one.
or Jeff went to her preemptively.
It probably was a response to, if he submitted a permit application, yes.
All right, it's in the packet. I gotcha.
I'm the only one. that
You know,
has this
it's in the
letter.
packet.
All right, it's in the
Okay.
packet, but you should see this
In
letter,
this
because it
packet.
requires you to do certain
Yeah.
things. You can look at it for a second and then give
Yeah,
it
Jeff
back.
submitted it. So it says, the town of Southampton is in receipt of your coastal permit
Oh,
request,
Just-
cursory review of your
No,
permission.
it was in the packet.
Oh, yeah, okay. I thought it was from Teresa, so
No,
Teresa's
it's
name on
Janice.
it. Yes, yeah, the survey had been revised per that letter. So,
Okay,
so
so,
everything's been taken care of on
so
that.
as long as we've got the updated survey
We do.
and, okay, all right.
All right, so let's keep it open for the official referral, but chances are it's gonna look something like this, which
Okay.
is great. Because sometimes, the applicant's like, I didn't know, the coastal erosion hazard permit administrator would make me do X, Y, and Z. You kind of already have an idea. And that's why you were probably talking about Teresa.
Yeah, because I
Yep.
saw her name at the bottom.
Okay, so this is great. I mean, we will keep it open, we'll adjourn it until we hear back from the coastal erosion hazard administrator, but chances are it's gonna read something like this.
Okay, so how long do?
How long will we keep,
Yeah.
what do you suggest?
Hmm?
How long are we keeping it open for?
I mean, we could keep it open to the next meeting, and maybe Anthony can follow up with Janice, and he can remind her that this is what she's already said.
All right, so we adjourn
Adjourn to six, so you want to adjourn to,
7:03.
7:03.
the next meeting is before then, isn't
How
it?
about
No.
7:17?
There's no 6:19.
Oh, that's right.
It's Juneteenth.
7:17.
7/17. Well, that's when we have something big on that day, right? You said, Candace?
Yes.
Okay, so then 7:03.
7/3.
All right, so
We're just
then-
going to adjourn.
Go ahead,
We're
Carl.
going to hold the meeting open and adjourn to 7/3.
Second.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Aye. Chair votes
Wait
aye.
to see if
Okay.
anybody was here. So what do I have to do right now?
Come back on 7/3.
That's it?
And well, they're gonna make a referral
Okay.
to land management, and then hopefully they'll get back to you with what you need to do, and then you come back to us.
No, they're not gonna get, they're not gonna get back to you.
You're gonna have
One
to go
second.
find
No,
the,
I did. I asked
Check the
whether there was
file.
anyone in the audience.
Done? We're gonna make a referral to Janice. Janice is gonna give us a referral. That's it. You come back on 7/3.
You just come back, you get the referral.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you very much. Thank you.
No, I didn't.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, number
Okay. Number 4 on the agenda, application of Dana R. Rubin and Robert J. Gottlieb, 60 Noyak Harbor Road, Noyak, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-4-1-73. Applicant requests the following relief from Town Code Section 330-11.2 Special Standards for proposed accessory apartment in an existing accessory building on a non-conforming lot. 1, to allow accessory apartment to be located on a lot that is less than 30,000 square feet. 2, for a lot area of 20,437 square feet where 32,000 square feet is required, 80% of 40,000 square feet. 3, for a lot width of 70 feet where 105 feet is required, 70% of 150 feet. 4, for a total side yard setback of 28.3 feet where 42 feet is required, 70% of 60 feet. 5, for a minimum side yard setback of 13.9 feet where 14 feet is required, 70% of 20 feet. 6, for an accessory side yard setback of 10.2 feet where 14 feet is required, 70% of 20 feet, and any other relief necessary.
Board has jurisdiction.
I am recusing myself from this on the grounds that I have an attorney-client relationship with the applicants.
My name is Robert Merrihew. I'm the attorney for the applicants, and they are here with us today.
Susan.
Bob Gottlieb.
Susan.
My address is
Hold on
215.
1 second. Helen, what?
I'm recusing myself because I'm familiar with the applicant.
Okay.
And I'm going to recuse myself as well.
All right, Rob.
This is Sean Leonard.
All right, would you go through that again, please, Robert? I'm sorry.
All right, I'm Robert Merrihew. I'm the attorney for the applicants who are here tonight with us, and that is Dana Rubin and Dr. Bob Gottlieb. We're also here with Sean Leonard, the architect, and we are seeking relief, and I'm going to let Sean talk more about it since he's more familiar with.
Okay. Okay, Sean, do you
want to
want?
swear me in first?
Pardon me?
You want to swear me in first?
I do. Do you promise to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Please state your name and address.
Sean Leonard, 320 Hampton Road, Southampton.
I'm so used to seeing you that I keep thinking you're already been sworn in. Okay, so tell us about the application.
Well, just for the reliefs that are being sought as far as setbacks, there's a house there now, and there's a garage there now, and they're all with COs. So they meet the current setbacks. I understand we need to go through this because of the zoning. It is also a piece of property that has wetlands. So we have we've had a wetlands permit and a CFC from conservation. So that also reduced our setbacks at the time when we built the house, as well as because of the lot being narrow, we were able to use the 410 rule. So that's what also allowed for the setbacks to be reduced at the time, and we got to get the C of O. When we went forward with this back in 2019 to get the building permit, we also went to the health department to, when we were getting the sanitary for the house. We also got health department to hook the garage up to the sanitary system, and we have a green stamp. So we have a green stamp for both the house and the garage being hooked up to the septic system. That was granted back in 2019, or actually we got it in 2022 with the anticipation that we would be doing something along these lines. But back in 2021, we were not made aware that we would need variances. So when we were talking to the town at the time, because this is so new with these apartments, we were first told that all we needed to do is get a C of O, and then after that, we would be able to go and get a permit for the accessory apartment. It then later was discovered that, there was some things that we needed to meet, and now here we are.
Yeah, some of the things you need to meet are, size of lot.
Yes.
And do you want to go through those?
Well, again, as Sean was saying, all that is kind of baked into what we already have there. We're allowed to have an office, in that space.
Habitable space. It was granted as a
Yes,
habitable space, yes.
No cooking or
Right.
sleeping. Right. So the real relief that we're requesting is the lot size.
Right.
Now, the applicants are very amenable to having this be an apartment that would be, on the affordable housing list. It's also something that it fulfills a town board desire to try to get some more places, abodes out east, so we can try to choke off some of the traffic, that for the East End. And so everyone likes it. It's very beautiful, and whoever gets to rent it is going to be, loving living on, water. It's just a beautiful spot. The neighbors were prepared to write letters of support, I'm told. And so the relief is just lot size.
I went to the site. It's, as you said, incredibly beautiful. I met the owners. They're lovely people, and they showed me around. It's an existing structure. It's not like you're adding any additional square footage to, coverage or whatever. The problem is that we do have requirements for certain lot sizes for accessory apartments, and that's what we're really here to deal with, is the lot size. The thing that, strikes me is that there is no change in the structures. So I feel like that's, amenable to serious consideration for the lot size. And as I've noticed, first of all, it's a little tricky how you get in there, the driveway. And all the lots are small. Pretty much in terms of the setbacks next door, there's a pool that's very close to the property line. I understand from the owners that there's been a lot of cooperation amongst the people in the area in terms of, you want this variance and we go along with that, and, a lot of cooperation. So, and given that the town is very much interested in trying to come up with affordable housing, this certainly fits that package. I know you have an application in for the transfer development right, which they're reserving for you. And as soon as you get approval if you get approval from the zoning board, that would be granted to you. So that's already been taken care of as well. Anybody else on the board have a comment?
If you went there, I did too, and there's a number, the lots are, a lot of houses have a lot of small, sort of funky located accessory structures, so we need to consider how we're doing this in the context of what impact that may have, in the neighborhood and the community. One thing that struck me, with the proposal you have, so there's no garage on the property anymore if you were to get this variance, right?
Correct.
And having sat here for a little while, everybody then comes in and says, I don't have storage, I need something else later. So I'm a little concerned about abandoning any capacity for storage and then having no place else to put your storage, but in really bad places. And assuming also that you somehow have the parking allocated properly for the accessory dwelling, as well as the main dwelling. I'd appreciate any thinking you have on how do you think you've accommodated that.
Well, they have a very large basement. And the applicants are not out there mowing their own lawns by any stretch. They're both older gentlemen, professionals. So there's not a lot of things to store, but they do have a big basement. I've been in the basement, it's impressive size. Additionally, the parking, if you were there, You see that there's a spot directly in front of the garage, that would be for the tenant. Then the 2 spots to the side are for Mr. Rubin and Dr. Gottlieb.
And how many bedrooms are in the main building?
I believe 3.
3. All right, so that's all that's required is like 2 spots, and 1 for the accessory apartment. Right. Okay, I didn't realize that the garage was being underneath. It's the entire building. It's a 2-story.
Yes,
Yes.
in order for us to, this way we're meeting the minimum.
Minimum requirement for an accessory apartment.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay.
Do you have to go back to the conservation board? You need a
No,
conservation
in
board
fact,
permit?
we've already been, we've spoken to Marty and everything, and he's perfectly fine with.
Has he given you a
because,
letter?
Again, we're, is there a letter?
I don't remember. We met with Marty last summer or early fall out there, but I'll reach out to him.
Yeah, well, I think, Candace, I think we'd refer it to conservation board, right? So reach out to him sooner rather than later. Just be like, you're getting a referral report, referral from the ZBA, because it's all gonna be interior renovations, right?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, there's nothing on the exterior at all.
All right, just check with him.
No addition.
The apartment FEMA compliant, as you're proposing it, the converted garage?
Yes.
And you're upgrading the septic system as well, right?
He's already done. The septic has already been done. We already have the green stamp.
Just checking. Thank you.
Well
I know
prepared.
myself.
Well, yeah, I know.
It's just this board that holds the power.
Oh, yeah, well, yeah. Okay, is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this application? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to comment on 60 Noyak Harbor Road?
No.
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to comment?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, this is mine, so I am going to close the public hearing, hold it open for written comments until June 20th with a decision on July 3rd. And of course, if we don't get the referral return from conservation, the decision will be delayed, but, okay?
Second.
Okay, Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr.
Aye.
Ms. Kane. Aye. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Take a shot. Okay, this is the next one, is mine.
Dr. Gottlieb, good to see you.
How was the last one?
Sure.
Good to see you.
Everyone's pediatrician. He's everyone's pediatrician.
Yes, yes.
Oh, I should introduce him to my daughter. Okay, we can have our board members come back. Helen, you're back?
Yes, I'm here.
Waiting for John.
Done.
Yeah, but we need our secretary back.
Okay.
This is very straightforward. This one. Very straightforward.
All right.
It's pretty straightforward. But we did have a prior.
Number 5?
Application.
Hold on, he's coming.
Probably explain that.
It almost got replaced, John.
What? Ah. Yeah, heaven forfend. Number 5 on the agenda, application of Island-Wide Premier Services Incorporated, 13A Summit Boulevard, West Hampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-354-3-3.2. Applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-82 lot width for road frontage from 40 feet to 0 feet and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction.
Good evening for the applicant, James N. Hume from Kelly and Hume, 323 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach.
Hi, Mr. Hume. Would you like to tell us about this application?
Sure. So this property is located at 13A Summit Boulevard in West Hampton. It's approximately 65,000 square feet in size. The R20, R40 line splits the property in half. The access to the property is across a 20-foot wide easement, which goes across 13 Summit, which communicates directly with Summit. This may appear a little familiar. Back in February, we were before the board to do a 2-lot subdivision of this property. The applicant has decided not to proceed with that because somebody knocked on his door and said they would like to build a single-family residence on this property. So the board, prior to this, had granted this relief plus other relief,
in order to accommodate the two lots, and now we're just looking for the relief for the street access.
Do we have a copy of the easement?
The easement agreement itself,
We-
perhaps not in this file, I think we submitted it in the other one, but I can provide that.
If you would, just to, so we can have a complete file on it.
So Jim, there's gonna be no lot line change to incorporate that?
No, that lot got sold also, subject to the easement.
And this will be an R40?
Yes, well, yeah, the more is, I guess R40 would be the more restrictive zoning.
It's split zone property,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It's 20 or 40.
But you're not subdividing that, right?
No.
No, so it would be R40.
So it's just one
The
lot.
one lot will be R40. Is that correct?
Well,
It's got two different designations. It's got a,
yeah, I don't know what.
It's R40 because the prior decision that allowed the subdivision says the building department comments for this application note that R40 zoning regulations apply to the current lot.
so it's gonna be R40. Thank you very much. Bob, do you have any questions?
I don't. So the subdivision was granted. Now you're not.
The variance for the subdivision was granted.
What do we do with that variance then? 'Cause I think
We're gonna supersede it.
Yes.
I mean, and then if, you know, the guy, I mean, he'll have to come back. We're not gonna let the prior variance run with the land and grant it for one.
no, I have no idea. I mean, I like this set up better.
Yes. And
Okay.
so apparently does the person who's buying.
Who's buying?
Yeah.
All right, and so you'll provide a copy of the easement? Okay.
You asked for the acquisition?
Pardon me?
The acquisition? You're looking for a copy of the acquisition?
Yes.
Okay. Just put in my notes so I know what I'm looking for.
Yes. Okay,
See.
Bob, do you wanna, this is your, oh, wait. Is there anybody in the audience who would like to be heard on 13A Summit Boulevard? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 13A Summit Boulevard?
No one on Zoom.
620 is good written submissions. That's fine, right?
Sorry?
620 written
Yeah.
subs good. So we're gonna hold it open for written submissions until June 20th with a decision on 7/3.
Second.
Mr. Mastonio? Mr. Mastonio?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Bevan?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Good to see you all.
Okay, you too.
Thank you. Number 6 on the agenda, John Kreenler Revocable Trust dated March 23rd, 2023, 219 Hildreth Lane, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-86-4-5. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for proposed deck, Section 330-6, general regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for an accessory side yard setback from 10 feet to 5.5 feet. 2, for proposed addition to the existing dwelling, 1, Section 330-115C, continuance for a total side yard from the existing nonconforming setback 17.6 feet to 16.7 feet. 2, a minimum side yard setback from the existing 7.7 feet to 6.8 feet. And 3, Section 330-84D, pyramid height for total sky plane encroachment in the amount of 512.4 cubic feet to the east, 275.5 cubic feet pre-existing, and 236.9 cubic feet proposed on a non-conforming lot, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction.
Are you an attorney?
No, I'm not.
Okay, let me swear you. Yeah.
120 Mill Road, West Hampton Beach.
All right, do you swear to tell the truth and tell the truth, nothing but?
I do.
Okay, thank you, Steve.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for giving us time on this application. It certainly sounds a lot more complex than what we actually have here. This is a very unique lot. I've never heard that before, but this is actually a very unique lot. It's only 70 feet wide, but at the back, it's 50 feet. Because of the way that the lot forms and the lot lines, it makes it very interesting for the placement of the house, which, if you notice on site plan survey, the house is not even square to the property, which is what causes the unique problem. And all of what we're talking about is on the east side of the property. Presently, on the east side, there's a slight bump out, which is a pantry. And that pantry is 7.7 feet from the property. What the homeowners are proposing is to truly move a little further from the property line at the street or northern side of Waterford and get a little bit closer as we go south. Again, they're trying to stay in line with the house. So it's really about just slightly less than a 2-foot difference from where we are now to the property line. Presently, it's a pantry. The idea is just to expand the kitchen by a few feet, squaring it up to the house. The deck would then be located off the back of the house to the south side. The deck cannot be centered in the back of the house because we have the Bilko door entrance that makes it, you can't put the deck anywhere else, and so they're lining up behind it. In terms of the pyramid law, we are adding about, I just don't get the number exact, we are adding 236 feet of cubic feet on the pyramid law, and that's only because of the extension. In order to get to code, to building height, we have to come a little further out of pyramid guidelines. This house already on both sides is already outside pyramid and already outside on setbacks. It is R20, but it isn't 20,000 square feet. It's only 17,000 square feet. So they really build it's a lovely piece of property. And I know tonight we've been talking about how difficult it is to get into a number of different driveways and properties. If you came to this property, you missed it. So it's the same problem. It's a very deep property, but unfortunately, it's not a very wide property. And the house that's there now and what they are proposing to do to the house is not making this exorbitant. It's not out of character with the neighborhood. It's not a McMansion by any stretch of the imagination. It's a nice little summer. And they're just trying to make the kitchen a little bit more functional. And so that
You can't put that space on the back of the house because, I mean,
no, because it would be on the wrong side of the kitchen. So we have, I should have said, we have no other reasonable place to put it. I addressed why we have.
kitchen's in the front of the house and
Kitchen's at the
the other,
front
and there's other space in the back.
So we're kind of, we're boxed in on that northeast, southeast corner of the house. That's where the kitchen is. And that's why we're coming back on the back.
Julie, this is yours.
So I was at the property. I did speak with one of the owners. It's minimal relief being requested in my judgment, and it does feel consistent with what's going on in the neighborhood. The other neighbors have expanded in ways that seem to have required more significant relief than this, so it seems reasonable to me.
I also went to the property. I see it all the time. And it's in character with the houses that are all along that road. They're all narrow, pieces of property. They're deep, but they're narrow.
And they're all off just a little bit.
And
It was not working on these properties.
Yeah,
They're
they're
twisted just a slight bit.
And difficult, driveway situations, obviously. And and that's going to be that's tough. Anybody else on the board wishes to comment?
I think it's minimal relief. I would concur with Julie.
Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on 219 Hildreth Lane? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 219 Hildreth Lane?
No one on Zoom.
Okay. So Julie, this is yours.
Yes. Okay. So I'm going to move to close the public hearing, keep it open for written submissions until June 30th, with a written decision scheduled for July 3.
Second.
June 20th.
June 20th?
Oh.
What did I say?
20th for written comments. All right.
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. McDaniel? Mr. Revin?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Thank you very much. Sue.
7 on the agenda, the application of Laura Araujo, 15 Landing Lane, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-343-1-62. Applicant requests relief in the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, for proposed addition, Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a total side yard setback from 35 feet to 29.36 feet, a minimum side yard setback from 15 feet to 9.62 feet, and Section 330-84D, Pyramid Height for a sky plane encroachment to the east of 20 cubic feet, and 2, for a proposed pool, section 330-11, and accessory distance from street setback from 50 feet to 20 feet, and section 330-76D, placement of accessory building structures and uses in all districts, and section 330-83C, yards, to allow the pool to be located within the required front yards for the principal building, Shinnecock Road, and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction.
Mr. Springer, let me swear you in. Do you swear the truth, to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address.
Kevin Springer, Dynamic Legal, 48 Columbine Avenue North, Hampton Bays, New York.
Okay, tell us about the application.
Okay, so we currently have a rather small ranch house, and the owners are set to retire, and so they're looking to move out here and expand a little bit. And we went back and forth of doing a first floor addition or a second floor addition. But because they're planning on moving out here full time, the idea is to keep the first floor kind of simple so that they can, get back and forth without having stairs. They do have a young family that would like to come out a little bit, which is also the reason for the pool. So if you look at the site plan, the main concern here is obviously the front portion, where the 9.62, that's the side that should be the 15. The one thing I can say is in this neighborhood, there's probably at least 8 to 10 houses that are all in that 10 to 11 foot range of their side yard. I don't think it's a lot of ask because we're really only 6 feet total on both sides. But on the south side, the only reason we're encroaching a little bit is because of the angle of the house, which is really quarter of a foot over the line for the 20, for the side yard setback. So the main piece is this little section, and it's all mainly because of the way the house is angled. It's not actually square with the property. That is also, that little corner is where our pyramid comes in, but that is 20 cubic feet, I think, which is basically just the overhang. Also, I will note that on that side of the property with the neighbor, that is already screened from the neighbor.
Which side?
The side with the larger one, which would be the north side.
Okay, so that's the one with the 9.62?
Yes.
Okay.
That is already screened. I haven't heard from anybody, and I believe I've gotten just about every card back as of today. I know that the owner had mentioned that he had shown the plans to the neighbor and there wasn't any concern then, so I've not, maybe they're here, I don't know. And it's really just mainly, the majority of it will be their master bedroom, which will lead out to actually the pool. And for the pool, we have in this area, on this street alone, there's 4 other houses. Because this backs up to Shinnecock Road, which leads into Shinnecock Shores, there's 4 other houses that the board has previously given the same relief to for the pool. Otherwise, we wouldn't have any issues. It's just the fact that it's Shinnecock Road. There is already in place a 6-foot fence, so it is screened from the road. There are no houses back there, so that really, I personally don't think is much of an issue. And we are, if we didn't have the road there, we would be conforming anyway. It's just that that's the access to Shinnecock Shores. We don't have much of a choice. There's really not a lot to it, so I don't know if anybody has any questions. This other little section on the south side is basically going to be storage and a mud room for the swimming pool itself.
This side.
Yes, if you look here, this little
Yep.
section here is split in two with the storage on the front, on the side closest to the pool. This is some of the pool floats and stuff, and then inside will be a mud room, for people to use in the pool. Other than that, if anybody has any questions,
Kevin, this is yours. Do you want to
Yeah,
start us off?
so thank you. I did go down Shinnecock Road, and you're right, everybody on each side of Shinnecock Road has Shinnecock Road as their backyard. So it's a long road with fences on all sides, so the concern about, the setback and its visibility, I think, is less of an issue here. And it is a lot with front roads, with two roads on the front. So I don't see much of an issue there. And
There will be also, just so you know, there will be screening probably in front of the fence also.
good,
We could
because
make
it's
that a
the only,
condition.
everybody,
Can we make that a condition?
Absolutely.
yeah, everybody else's fence is sort of grade weathered wood, and
Yeah,
Yeah.
and then even they were like, they don't wanna look at a pure white fence all day either.
it was a bit bright. It was noticeable.
Yes.
Other than that, I think I didn't have any other major issues at all.
I have a question. Is there any reason that the new first floor addition can't be to the back of the building rather than to the side? Why is the side chosen as opposed to behind it, in between the pool?
Mainly because of the existing layout of the house. That's really the only reason.
What's back there? What's in the middle?
Well, if you have this, you'll notice that if you come in the front door, you have the living room. So then, let me just see something. What did I do? Okay, so that would lead, you have the kitchen and the living room. I think you guys have this in the plans.
I don't.
No, we don't have plans.
We don't have plans, and that brings up another thing. We need to have plans that show that there's no pyramid relief requested.
Kevin's been holding out on us.
Well, usually the lead has like the big set, but the board members are supposed to have a smaller set.
Yeah, we didn't get, we don't have.
Submit those.
We have a survey and a site plan.
Right.
And I have extra. Here's one.
Well, those can be submitted.
Yeah, you can, and I can submit more at any time. It's, like I said, it's really just, it's the layout of the house. And then if they went too far back, then if they went straight off the back, first of all, you don't have the flow of the existing house.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're pushing all the way out to almost being at the pool, which is where they didn't want to be. They don't want to be right on top of the pool. Those are the two main points, is that A, the existing flow of the house, and B, if you push that back further, then you're gonna be right on top of the pool, because there's not a whole lot of, there's not much in between them.
But there's no other feature preventing that being done.
No, there's nothing back
There's
there.
nothing like septic or
No.
mechanicals or.
No. It's an older ranch, they're pretty straightforward. The septic is located in the front.
Mhm.
Thank God, because else we'd have an issue with the pool.
Yeah. So Kevin, we didn't get plans. Maybe Kevin did, but we didn't get plans. So I think we need those. But also, there's no pyramid relief requested?
Just in that one corner, I think it's 20 cubic feet.
Okay, was that in the write-up? Because I didn't.
I believe so.
Yes, it is.
Yes.
20 cubic feet? Okay, but we
But
didn't get.
what do we have in the file that
Yeah, that's why we
shows
need a
what
plan.
pyramid relief is being
We
requested?
need to have a plan that shows what the cubic feet is. Okay.
I can have that Monday or Tuesday of next week. That's not a big deal. And I have, these I can make copies of and drop these off also if you need extras. This is just,
I have a full set. From the date when you get that, we'll confirm the date. But I have the full set. Kevin McDonald probably has another full set. You have a full size?
Yeah, he's got
Are
the
there
full
pyramid
size.
calculations on it?
I don't think, do you want a full set or you just want, so this is the main, so this is what the floor plan looks like. This is the main gist of it.
Uh-huh.
Now, if you go into the full set.
We need something to show in the
No, we
pyramid.
don't need the full set,
You don't,
but except pyramid.
right, which, let me just,
So I don't know what pages you want out of this set.
Yeah.
right,
So I know what you're
let me just,
Do you have pyramid in the full set that you have?
so if you look on page A3, which I'll show you. What a big- here.
Yeah.
It's just that little front corner piece.
Okay.
That's the only
Okay,
piece.
that's all we need to say. We need to have that on the record. Anybody else on the board? Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on 15 Landing Lane? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 15 Landing Lane?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, Kevin, this is yours.
I'm gonna make a motion to close the hearing. Comments due on 6/20 with a decision on July 3rd.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Macedonia?
7-3.
By June 20th, and decision on July 3rd.
Third, July 5th.
Mr. Redpath?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Yeah, both sides. So you'll get us those things by the 20th?
Yeah, I'll have
Yeah, okay.
7-3, right?
Right, so,
Okay. Thank you. Okay, number 8 on the agenda, the application of Chabad Lubavitch Mitzvah Tank, 40 Winding Way, Watermill, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-113-3-8.29. Applicant requests the following relief from Town Code Section 330-6, General Regulations that references Section 330-11, Residence Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations as modified by the approved subdivision for proposed addition on a non-conforming lot. A total side yard setback from 40 feet to 37.9 feet and a minimum side yard setback from 20 feet to 17.2 feet. In addition, applicant requests relief from Town Code Section 330-83D yards for an exterior basement stair projecting 4 feet 8 inches into a required side yard where a maximum encroachment of 4 feet is allowed and any other relief necessary.
The board has jurisdiction. We have the agent on Zoom. Is Andrew here?
We seem to.
Okay.
Hello.
hold on, we're not, oh, there you are. Are you an attorney?
No.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Please state your name and address.
Andrew Graham, 69 Ridgeway Avenue, Setauket.
Okay, Andrew, tell us about the application.
Sure. So, as mentioned, this property is a non-conforming parcel. The only reason is that they're 32,500 square feet as opposed to 40,000. They are conforming in lot width, but they have 168 where 150 is required, but they taper down to 100 feet in the rear yard, which is the reason for this variance. We're requesting a 17.2 side yard setback where 20 is required because the lot tapers in the rear. They're maintaining the plane.
You have to speak up. I'm having trouble following you.
I'm sorry. I'll get a little bit closer to my computer.
It's hard to see because the
They're maintaining the
air
plane
is on.
of the dwelling towards the rear yard. They're not actually doing a side yard addition, but because of the way the lot was cut, they end up encroaching towards the rear of their addition. And that's the same reason for the outside cellar entrance, that the additional 8 inches. It's actually conforming towards the front of the yard, and as they go back towards the rear, that outside cellar entrance starts to encroach those 8 inches.
All right, so let's go through this again. Do you have questions on this?
Why don't we go through, would you take us through slowly one more time, please?
Yeah, because we're having trouble
Yeah.
hearing you. Sorry.
Sorry about that. So, yep. So it's a non-conforming lot. We're 32,500 square feet. Where 40,000 is required. We do conform to lot width at the street, but the lot width in the rear tapers down to 100. So we're not doing a side yard addition, but they're doing a rear yard addition. But because of the taper of the property, the back corner of this addition ends up encroaching into that side yard setback. We get 2.8 feet of encroachment. The outside cellar entrance ends up encroaching for the same reason towards the front of the property. The outside cellar entrance actually conforms to that 4 feet of projection into the required side yard. And as you go towards the rear of that property, it begins to encroach the total of 8 inches at the end. So this property is heavily screened on both sides. if any of the board members visited, they saw the evergreens on either side of the property are taller than the single-story portions of this house, and this is a one-story addition to the rear, so it'll be heavily screened. It already is heavily screened on the sides.
Is the reason for the proposed external basement entrance because of the other addition that's being made nearby that? Or why is that happening?
Well, this addition is actually removing the original Bilko door, so they won't have an exterior entrance without this proposed entrance.
So you're just,
There's-
so the idea is to change it from a Bilko door to a stairway, which is easier to access, is that correct?
Correct. It's better for storage, and if you ever have to service any heating equipment down in the basement, it's a little bit more accessible.
Andrew, I just want to tell the board something. I don't know if you're able to see the building department comments, but the building department comments just point out that this property is actually part of a cluster subdivision. So it actually is a conforming lot in the cluster. And during the, when the planning board creates these lots, the planning board actually gives them the underlining zoning. So, the variances that they're asking for are actually, would be minor. If he wasn't asking for the basement stairs, they would be considered minor variances. So I just wanted to add that, because you said it was non-conforming, but actually it's a conforming lot in the cluster.
Okay. Yeah. I actually didn't realize the cell entrance projection was an issue, and we went in thinking it was a minor variance, and
So wait, what are you saying? What would be minor and what would be?
If they weren't asking for typically the minor, remember it's a minor if it's anything from 330-11 and it's 25% or less.
Mm-hmm.
So, so both of the total side and the minimum side are minor, but then they're asking for relief from 330-83D, and that doesn't qualify for minor.
Okay. So that's the 8 inches or whatever?
Correct. It's the, protrusion into the, whatever, it's required side yard.
I was at the property, I saw the screening you mentioned. Are you willing to stipulate that you'll maintain that if you get the relief?
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure they'd be happy to maintain the screening.
I was also at the property, and it's on both sides, the screening, so it's a very heavily
Correct.
vegetated area. So essentially, we're looking at a 2.8 foot difference, which is minor, and an 8-inch difference for the stairs. Okay. In terms of the application and the relief being sought, it seems pretty minor to me. Is there anybody on the board who wishes to comment on?
No.
I don't have anything further.
I'm sure there are people in the audience who wish to be heard. Remember, we're looking at this as an application, a zoning application. Okay.
That is it.
Okay, who would like to start? Go ahead, come on up.
Nika Strunk, with Strunk PLLC, 37 Windmill Lane, Southampton, New York, and my client is here, Kay Massey. She lives directly next door to this property on
34 Winding
34 Winding Way.
Okay, let me swear you in. Are you an attorney?
But I'll be sworn in as
No, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be sworn in, but just say again your name.
Kathleen Massey, Massey. I'm at 34 Winding Way, directly to the east of the applicant's property.
Okay. Okay, so what are your comments?
So effectively, this property has a CO for a 4-bedroom, single-family home. It is operated as a chad, which is a Jewish synagogue, effectively. So this is really it's not a conforming use in this district. The only way that this use would be conforming is if a special permit had been sought and obtained from the planning board for religious use. But that has not happened, and in fact, it couldn't be granted because that type of use requires a minimum of 2 acres, 50-foot setbacks, and other requirements that can't be met. You can see it online. There's a site, Chabad of Watermill. They perform religious services. Kathleen will explain more what she experiences as their next door neighbor. I do have with me a copy of their tax bill that, it's not taxed. Should I get this to Candace?
Yes.
We give Candace one copy and we'll pass down the rest.
Okay.
I should just need to.
Okay. No problem. Thank you. I'll start. Thank you. It doesn't pay taxes because it's a religious nonprofit organization. And so while this might seem like a minor variance, it is in effect the expansion of an illegal use. And I understand that this board is, it has before it what seems like a very minor area variance, but that's really not what it is. And I have a case that I have several copies of it, but I'll give it to you, Katie, because I'm sure you're probably gonna be the one who may have it. Basically, even in the context of a minor area variance, if the underlying use is illegal and there has been deception about that, which I would say that there has been here, the applicant has not disclosed what the use of this property actually is. The application requests whether it's a use variance is required, and it said no. Whether there's a non-conforming use, it says no. That's not the case. It's not a conforming use. It's not a residential use. And in connection with the 5-factor test, this can be taken into account, and it can be a proper basis for the denial of the application, which is what we think it should be here. On the website that the Chabad of Watermill has, it boasts that it has in excess of 50 people for services on the weekends. So if you were there and it wasn't a weekend, you would not have seen this. And the sheer number of cars and people, which my client will explain, raises tremendous issues: parking, traffic, sanitary. It's not approved for a very large use like this. Fire hazard. And my client is the most directly affected because she directly joins the exact area where this extension is supposed to go. Now, as far as the screening on the side where this extension is asked for, that's my client's screening. It's her trees. It's not
Nice
the
to know.
property owner's trees. So this is the basis for our objection, and I'll turn it over to Kathleen and she can
What does
explain.
code say? I'm assuming somebody's called code enforcement.
Kathleen, I don't.
Well, in fact, I mean,
No, yeah, but you guys will have a chance.
others, okay.
No, but I'm asking you.
Yeah, no, I have not.
Okay.
Frankly, I thought this was a large family, and I
Just a
wanted to
moment, ma'am. Until you have a moment to speak, please.
I wanted to be respectful of the family operation, and I didn't fully understand the religious use of the property until fairly recently. And then with this application, I felt like it was time to explain what is really going on there.
Oh, so you don't, but I guess you don't have any firsthand knowledge that it's actually been operating as.
Oh, yeah, I do. Yes, I do.
I'm asking her.
Yes,
You
yes,
guys
yes.
will all have an opportunity to speak.
I mean, if I could just say, I mean, in term, the house is used, partly as a residence. There's a large family that lives there. On a regular basis, there are 11 cars parked in the driveway. Every Friday night, they come speeding down the street to park in time for sunset and services. Regularly on Saturday mornings, there are many, many children outside on a swing set and trampoline that goes right up to my property line, and they're screaming and yelling, making quite a bit of noise. And at night and on holidays, we have people singing, including outside on the porch. On one occasion, they were singing until 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock at night. We couldn't sleep. I tried to scream over, please be quiet, they didn't. My husband went over once, please be quiet, they didn't. He went over again finally, and we fell asleep after that. But the basic use is already a lot of people. But when it's Friday night, Saturday morning, and a holiday, the use expands tremendously. Again, Friday night, cars come. Oftentimes, the driveway of 40 Winding Way is blocked so that people coming to services cannot park in the driveway. So they park in front of my house and they park all along the road, oftentimes on both sides of the street. Sometimes they park down the road and walk. I'm not sure why that is, but it's a lot of people. I have counted up to 38 cars parked in the street. On Saturday, there are more cars generally than on Friday night. But when they come, and I have examples, I've taken notes of particular days on which how many cars were on the street. I have photos of certain of those days. Just as an example, I'll say on September 26, 2022, there were 38 cars on the street. On June 29th, 2024, there were at least 38 cars in the street. July 13, 2024, 20 cars. August 3rd, 2024, 17 cars. September 11, 2024, 26 cars. And just the other day, on Monday, there were 20 cars. And these are on the street.
Yeah, no, I understand, and everybody's going to be able to speak. It's just that it's a little disconcerting to me that this is the avenue that you think is going to fix this problem.
Can I get some guidance from you on this?
Yeah, I'm
Katie?
wondering the relevance of this
so,
to the application.
Correct.
I think, ma'am, the lawyer, I didn't catch your name. Okay, so
Doesn't make any sense to me.
I do think these sound like they're code issues. I don't know what the legal issues are related to religious establishments, if this in fact is one.
Well, it says it is one.
Okay. And we don't have any information about that, nor do we have jurisdiction over
Well, we
that.
do have the tax bill, which
Right,
says
the
it's
tax
not
bill.
being billed. It's no taxes, so that's
But
evidence.
You stated that the case law is relevant because there was deception involved, and that's a serious allegation. I don't think this board handles an allegation of that sort, if I understand it correctly. And this does
Certainly Andrew is not going to, Andrew was hired to make a minor land use application and then realized it wasn't minor. So certainly I'll take a look at this, but I'm sure Nika is going to tell all of you, this isn't going to be even if this board denies it, it's not going to address the use.
That's
Right,
right.
I understand that's separate, but we're here, there's been an application to expand the illegal use.
No, to expand
not
the dwelling.
expand the illegal use.
Well, if you look at the drawings, they're trying to expand the house further, closer to my house. And we looked at some of the plans, and that is to expand the great room where they will continue to hold their religious services.
But those are two separate things. The expansion that's being requested is for relief of certain zoning requirements. If there's an illegal use, that's a code enforcement issue.
We don't deal
That, and I understand your unhappiness about this, and it sounds like there are others who are going to want to speak, but that isn't for this board to handle, as far as I understand.
Well, I do want to say, it's difficult as it is, and assuming that this variance is being sought to expand the number of people who live there or the number of people who come to services, that is going to increase the noise, that is going to increase the traffic. That further impairs my quiet enjoyment, it interferes with my privacy. I have people come into my house saying, oh, is this the Chabad?
Yeah, no,
I'm there in my pajamas with my kids. So if we're just increasing the size of this operation, it is bound to have a further negative effect.
But there's nothing in the record in front of us that suggests that this is a request to increase an operation that is not.
Well, it's a request to
permissible.
increase the space, which is being used illegally.
Period. Yep.
Okay. Well, may I just say, we will submit more information, more evidence of this illegal use. Kathleen has many, many photos. We're gonna submit pages from the website. I know what you're saying, that you believe that this is a code enforcement issue and not a zoning board issue. However, what this case says is that if there is an illegal underlying use, even if it's just a 2.8 foot variance, that illegal underlying use is something that this board can and should take into account.
But we're not here to determine whether the use was illegal or not. We're not the body or the authority that can make that determination.
Pictures and evidence on it, we're not
You
gonna
can
make
put
a
in
decision.
whatever evidence
I
you
would
want.
welcome seeing what you're,
I
we
agree.
haven't seen that.
I
We
would
need
like
to
to see
take a
the
look at
case.
that and read it and
I
ponder it
have
and whatever,
several.
because while I tend to agree with
Yeah.
you guys, I want to see what they
Oh,
say.
absolutely. I'd like to see it because many times
here's
what's
what
actually
strikes
in the
me.
case law is very different from how
Okay,
it's
but we need,
described.
but we need to have copies for everybody. so.
I'll provide more copies tomorrow.
If this application was withdrawn tomorrow, it doesn't solve any of your issues, right? So I heard you, I understood it. But it's, we have a narrow issue presented. I haven't read the case you referenced. We'll look forward to it. But it strikes me, if you haven't already, that you have a serious meeting with the code enforcement people and whatever the documentary evidence and information that's needed to make this case and, needs to be pursued there at 95.5% of this is not going to get resolved here.
I understand that.
Okay.
We're just here to oppose the request for a variance, because
Because
I
you
don't
think
want it
it's
to get worse.
expanding, you're thinking it's expanding an illegal use.
It'll be worse.
Yeah,
If the-
okay.
If the variance is
Anthony,
granted.
do you want to make some comments before, I know you have to leave, so that's why.
I just want to say, if the variance is granted, it will have a negative effect on my property. It will have a negative effect on the neighborhood. This is something that the applicant brought on themselves. And, this is something that the board can consider, the fact that the applicant has not been straightforward about the use.
And I haven't heard, the 5 factors. And first of all, what is the need for this variance? The applicant has not expressed that either. So.
And it's one thing to say you want a variance of 2.8 feet versus 20 feet, but if in fact it's supposed to be 50, and they're trying to get
But I think that
within
that's.
17 feet, then that's a problem.
I think that's an issue because of the way that the subdivision was calculated, so.
Well, no,
They're
they say.
asking for relief because the subdivision set the zoning parameters.
Yes,
So
right.
that's what they're asking relief from the zoning.
Yeah, but it's not a 20-foot relief. I mean,
No,
it's.
20
No,
foot
it's
is a
a 20
requirement,
requirement, and they're asking for
17.2.
Right, so
Right,
that's
so
what
that
it is.
doesn't look so bad, but when you think that, when you look at it and you say, this abad self-describes as a religious institution, it doesn't pay taxes on that basis, and so it's subject to the rules of this town, which require a 50-foot setback. And so when they're trying to reduce
So
from
as a
20 to
religious,
17,
as a religious,
Yes.
okay.
which
that's
is what
where-
they
okay,
are.
Okay,
So
okay.
can I make a suggestion? Because
Anthony, do you want to say anything?
Because we have other people we need to hear from.
This is just being presented to the zoning board as far as I could tell. I've not been to the property, so I'm not going to make any accusations. I don't know, is code enforcement issuing any violations for this property, as far as you know? I'm saying because what we have is being presented to the planning board that there's an illegal use on the property, evidence and everything else, tax bills. Has code enforcement issued any violations for this property? That's going to be my first question, and that we got to look into. And then you go from there, as far as that's concerned. But as far as this board is concerned, the planning board approved this subdivision. It's a single-family residential subdivision, and that's what I'm assuming the application was submitted for. This other discussion is going to
It's
require
supposed to be
involvement of
single
other
family.
people
Not us.
outside of this board. It just,
So
that's my question.
Yeah,
That's
no,
an
that,
enforcement
that's
issue.
helpful. I think,
I think others may be able to.
yes,
speak
no,
to that.
and I think we appreciate the issues that you're raising. I think you hear what we're saying, which is this is not really our zone in which we operate. We should hear from the others, and I am interested in understanding the case because I would want to know, I'll just say, before we grant this relief, if in fact the case is what you says it is.
Can you get
then
us that electron,
maybe
I'm sorry.
Maybe we need some time to digest that.
I'm fairly confident that this case is not going to be the basis for denying these minor variances. I mean, with this board hears people all the time talking about change of use, illegal use, possible illegal use. I mean,
Do you have a big religious organization operating in a small residential neighborhood? It's a cul-de-sac.
If I may, I've been looking at this while everybody's been talking. So far, the applicant in this case was seeking area variances to use a cellar as retail space. It sought a variance in order to use a cellar as retail space. The applicant was consistently deceptive in the application process with regard to the use of the cellar. And that is the basis of the decision in this case. This applicant has not been deceptive. You said that they claimed in their application that they're a conforming use. I see that nowhere in this application. I see a checkbox for determination of pre-existing non-conforming use not applicable. But other than that, I see nothing in this that would indicate to me that this applicant has deceived this board in any way by filing this application. We will look at this more carefully, but in my initial impression of this case, it does not stand for what you say it stands for.
Okay, well, let's take an opportunity to look at it.
I'd be happy to, I can.
Send it electronically, please.
To Candace.
Electronically, yeah, that'd be great.
I'll be happy to do that.
And why don't we hear from the others now?
And I know there are others who couldn't be here, so at the appropriate point, if you could
Well,
leave
you know,
it
we
open
always-
for opportunity.
Well, and if we adjourn this, they have another opportunity to come forward or written comments.
You can write in also.
I just want to say, I do think it is incumbent on the applicant to say why they are seeking this variance. Why are they seeking this variance? That has not been explained.
So what are they gonna use the space for? They're gonna use the space for their religious activities that require a 50-foot setback.
We hear the question.
There's nothing in the application that says what the need is.
Okay,
Thank you.
okay, thank you for your comments. Anybody else wants to come forward? Let's do it in order.
You go to the podium or sit up here, either one. Either one.
Well, you can come up individually. All right. Okay, are you attorneys?
No.
Okay. Oh, no.
No.
Okay, let me swear you in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, we do.
Okay, please state your name and addresses.
Elizabeth Denny, Deneny, and we live at 56 Winding Way.
And you are?
My first name is Sean, last name Denny.
Okay, Sean.
Same address.
Okay. So tell us your comments.
Our concern is because we're a hamlet, we're a water mill, and we don't have our own government, so we're looking to your zoning board to keep us a quiet, peaceful neighborhood. We've lost that. Sorry.
It's a beautiful neighborhood. I went
this
there,
was
it's beautiful,
Tuesday.
yeah.
But, and that's fine, that's okay. But for it to just, you don't have people keep chipping away, and they just keep chipping away and chipping away until where you chose to, it doesn't exist anymore. We've lived there beautifully since '98. We raised our families there. It's not possible to even walk on the street anymore. I mean, carefully. And I just wanted to say quickly, I mean, the zoning board is what we're looking to keep, just have some trust in what's going on and try to keep us peaceful neighborhood. That's all.
The only problem is that, even, you know, as Kevin said before, if we were to deny this application, it doesn't solve your problem.
No, that's okay,
Yeah,
but
and-
at least
And, you know, so.
maybe moving forward, you know.
Well,
it's
can I-
all been, you know.
Can I ask, you said you called code enforcement? Did you call code enforcement?
We
Were you
have,
the
yes,
okay,
we have
and
in
what
the past.
happened with that?
Nothing.
Did they come out?
Yes, they did. They tried
Okay.
to move some cars. You know, because actually, if anything ever happened, an ambulance couldn't come down. So, I mean, I'd have to check with the police report, so.
It's
yeah, we
also a
have.
noise issue.
Oh, you also called the police? Okay.
I mean, we've been patient and good neighbors, and to a large degree, it looks as if this were approved, there'd be an expansion of what they're currently doing.
It's just about neighborhood. I mean, just about peaceful, being able to live in a neighborhood. Anyway.
Okay, no, and I appreciate everything that you're saying. I'm not sure that we have,
It's the noise and the traffic
and I'm
It
not
sounds
sure
like
that
we
we've
have to
got.
go to the code enforcement first.
Yeah, I think, you've come to, we're very sympathetic and we want to hear from everybody,
Yeah,
but.
when we looked up, it was the
We
zoning.
looked it up and it talked about noise, it talked about parking, it talked about a whole bunch of things, all of which appears to be within your
The
purview.
zoning board.
I mean, we
looked
take
after.
those factors and others into account when we're considering
Just a
granting
little-
relief, but this relief, as
Little cul-de-sac.
stated, doesn't smack of the things that we're hearing are at issue. And so there are enforcement issues. And again, as my colleagues have said, if we granted what is essentially minor relief, and I'm not saying that's happening this evening because a lot of questions are being raised, the issues that you have, the enforcement, the
Yeah, what is 44
enforcement
Windway really looking
issues
for?
still exist. So
My suggestion to you would be to hire independent counsel who could shepherd you through the process to work with the town in order to resolve the issues. That would be my advice to you.
But,
Thank you.
but, I do think you make some good comments, and we're going to listen to that, and like you said, parking and noise are considerations. And if the feeling is that this will add to noise and parking issues, we have to take that into account.
And also children playing in the front, not in the back. I almost hit one of the children coming down on a bicycle, learning how to ride in the driveway.
Yeah, I know,
And
that's a
few
little
cars on
bit,
both sides.
I think parking and noise are a little bit easier than kids playing in the front
I
yard.
don't see the
So,
nexus, but I don't see the nexus between a few inches of relief and parking and noise. I just don't see it. I'm sorry.
well,
There's no nexus between the two, and I'm not.
I actually do see a bit of a nexus there, so I'm, of a difference of opinion.
Well, you're of a different opinion, and there's
Yeah,
how many of us on the board?
Yes,
I
no, I
just think
understand,
it-
but I do see
I think
it.
we're wading into waters that really we have no business being in.
Okay, is there anybody else who wishes to be heard? Please come forward. Yeah. Hi, so are any of you attorneys?
No.
Okay, so I'll swear you all in. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please individually state your names and addresses.
Marion Pasadomo, 7 Winding Way, Watermill.
What's your first name again?
I'm sorry?
Your first name again?
Marion,
M-A-R-I-A?
I-A-N.
And last name?
Pasadomo, P-A-S-S-I-D-O-M-O.
P-A-S-S-I-D.
O-M-O.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, and you?
I am Frank Galercio, 59 Winding Way.
Frank, just spell your last name for me.
T is in Tom,
Uh-huh.
A-L-I-E-R-C-I-O.
C-I. Got it, thank you.
Mary Aquino, 45 Winding Way.
And can you spell your last name?
A-C-Q-U-I-N-O.
A-C-Q-I-U-I-N. Okay, I got it, thank you.
Okay, so who wants to talk first?
I'll say something. We're not against things being built or added on. My concern is that are there going to be more people living in there and using that as a place to stay? Because one of the people that comes from there said, oh, we're looking to build something that we can put another 10 or 12 people in. Keep them there, stay there for the weekend and so forth. The present time we have is, like the other people said, parking is absolutely impossible. I couldn't get out of my driveway a couple of weeks ago. I mean, I was locked in my driveway. This goes on all the time. And I talk to them, they're not bad people, We have conversations. I used to turn their lights on and off before they had the switches automatic. But it's gotten to the point where it's so bad that they park from the end of the corner all the way up past my house. There's got to be 50, 60 cars. And if they park one car on the other side of the street, we can't get through. And like I said, I'm not against their religion or anything like that. I'm half Jewish myself, so it doesn't matter. But the point is, when you talk to them, they go like this, you know, we can't talk to you. We're
All right. Okay, we, you know,
I'm not gonna argue.
Part of the problem is there's nothing we can do about that. That's
Yeah.
code
I know
enforcement.
that. That's the problem. You know, we've had the police there, and the police have made them move their cars. The following week,
Back again.
it happens again. Even if it's 2 cars, you can't get through.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, we're gonna go to code enforcement again. We were here to see what was this all about. My main concern was this was not gonna be another entity that they put in there that they can move into or keep people in. And then they're gonna have, instead of 8 or 10 people living there, you know, with 6 or 7 cars in the driveway, there's gonna be 15 people living there.
Well, that's, again, not us, that's code.
Yeah, I understand that.
Well,
Andrew,
we've looked
I have
at,
a question for you. Andrew,
Sure.
did they indicate what the addition is for? What the use of the addition is for?
No, not specifically. On the plans, it's listed as a great room, so it would be additional living space. You know, not a bedroom, but
that's exactly
additional.
what I was gonna point to. It's a great room. There's no indication that they're adding bedrooms.
No, but again, we're concerned that there are gonna be a lot more people, well, showing the pictures of the cars, that there are gonna be a
I know
lot
this
more
doesn't apply to
people
you.
coming to these services.
But, you know,
I
we
live
we
across the
really,
street.
we're very sympathetic, but I don't think you're
I know.
necessarily
Well,
at the right
again,
forum.
But listen, and
enforcement.
tomorrow, I will email code, and I will email the attorney for code, and I will copy Nika, and I will say, this came up at our public hearing, this is the context. I mean, you know, I know none of this is satisfying. We hear people say this all the time, but Nika knows, you know, I will email code. I will email code tomorrow.
Thank you,
Well, I'd like
Katie.
to add something to that.
Yeah,
You keep
okay,
saying
Mary.
that this isn't your problem, or not as,
It's our problem.
not quite that way.
We all live in the town, so it's all about
Yes, I
problems.
know.
Yes.
I know that. You can solve this problem.
Correct.
Correct.
We agree with
If
that.
they pulled the application,
But,
it stays the same.
but you can stop another inch of this problem from growing.
Well, that's
And
not
that's what
clear.
we're asking.
And
We don't
that's,
know.
it's not clear that we can because.
Well, if you disavow, if you refuse this, this grant, if you don't grant this,
Yeah, we
they
would have to
can't
have we would have to
add
have
to
a
it.
basis for
they
doing
can't
that,
add space to
and
it.
it's
So that
not
would
clear.
at least stop the problem where it exists now, which is impossible. I have a blind brother. He's legally blind. He cannot walk down the street on weekends or in the summer because it's impossible. It's unsafe.
No, and I'm sympathetic to
Period.
the issues that you're raising. I think
It has nothing to do with being Jewish or anything
No,
else.
We don't care about that.
understand, and I think our lawyer is saying, you know, tomorrow she will raise this issue, which has come up with a lot of energy at this hearing, let's face it. I mean,
And
it
rightfully
is
so.
rare that we have so many people come in and raise these issues. I think we have to consider the case on the merits. I do think some issues that have been raised that I would like to understand further. So,
Well,
It
again,
can't
like,
be our
we didn't
determination
know
that's
exactly.
being used for non-conforming use. We can't make that determination. That has to be,
I understand that, but you can make a determination that this isn't necessary. Well, what are they doing?
that's
it?
not the standard, though.
But that's not the
Whatever's right there.
standard, and I'm sorry, you're absolutely incorrect that that they have to identify a need to us, that they have to identify exactly what they're using it for and a need to us. They have to show that is it within the character of the community. There's a variety of factors that factor into it, but you also have to understand that what you're asking us to do could also engender litigation.
I understand that.
And that's a significant concern for us. These people are asking for 2.8 inches
And
on the
8
side
inches.
yard and 4 inches. That
Yes.
Feet,
No, no.
not inches.
2.8 feet and 8 inches.
2.8 feet and
8
8
feet and 4
They
feet.
don't call themselves by a name of a family. They call themselves Shabbat Lubavitch,
But that doesn't matter.
which is a religious organization.
That's a
If you
different
come from New York,
conversation,
where I
though.
come from, that's what they do. That's who they are.
Exactly, but we can't take into account the fact that there's a religious organization operating there. That's not in our purview. It would be improper for us to do that. It could be religious discrimination if we were to take that into consideration. There are so many other factors that have to be thought about with regard to this board.
Yeah.
So we've
Katie, why don't
committed
you reiterate what you're
to
gonna
call
do
code
tomorrow?
enforcement.
She said she would.
She's
I'm gonna email code enforcement tomorrow. I'm gonna copy Nika. Nika works closely with code all the time. So, I mean,
Yeah, we
You know,
understand that. You know,
yeah,
what,
I mean, it's-
what we were concerned about was, again, what this was going to do by building something else in there, was gonna add on people. I mean, originally, the Shabbat was fought by the town not to go there because it's not part of the hamlet, what the hamlet is. It's a religious group, and I don't care what religion they are, but the town said, and I went to a board meeting, we couldn't afford to keep fighting them. So that's why they got to build the property.
Okay. Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard on this matter?
I just agreed with whatever everybody else said.
You did have a little bit of a chance, not much, but do you want to add anything?
I live across the street from this, so I witnessed all of what everyone's been saying, and I've lived there long before that place even existed. And it was a quiet residential street. That's why I chose to move there, but it's no longer that.
Okay.
Again,
I know, code enforcement.
Well, no, again, I suggest as a group, you
Yes,
hire
yes.
counsel that could help shepherd you through the process and maybe make some real strides to addressing the issues for you. Because alone, coming into this forum, this really isn't the right forum for it. And I think
Where to go, really.
Well, we're
expert
happy
attorney
that
can
you
help
came
you.
and you voiced your concerns, and hopefully you get some direction from us as to where to
I
go.
appreciate you hearing us.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Is there anybody else who wishes to be heard on this matter?
In response to what you said, and I'm sorry to.
Come up here.
Doesn't the applicant have to show feasible alternatives? Whether there are feasible alternatives that won't require a variance? Why isn't that being shown here?
For 2.8 feet
Yes.
And 8
for any
inches?
variance.
and
For
8
any
inches.
variance. That's my view.
I think that's a strident view of the
Before you
standards.
actually ask
Very
us for
strident view.
variances,
Of course.
a lot more than these 8 inches, and you have to show those same things you're asking these people to show.
No, you have to show that you meet the 5 factors. That has not been shown here.
Okay, let's get back on track.
Yeah, I agree. Would you like to come up? Okay.
Oh my God.
Are you an attorney?
I'm an attorney, as a matter of fact.
Okay, then
I am
please state
Kath-
your name and your address.
I'm Kathleen Massey's husband. My name is James Blaney. I'm an attorney, and I have been in the house. Blaney, B-L-A-N-E-Y. And I've been inside the house on 3 occasions. Once because I was asked to be a minion, and I said I couldn't. Then they asked me to come in anyway and turn on a piece of equipment because on Friday night after sundown, I can't do that. So I've seen the inside of the house. They use the great room as a temple room. It is adornment, it has religious symbols, it is very clearly being used as a religious facility. I've seen the downstairs. They have beds. They have 4 refrigerators.
In the basement?
In the basement. And I believe that the side entrance that's being used is so that people can go in and out of there without having to go through the main house. I've seen generators. I've seen other large things there. So, sir, when you asked your point about, well, what would a few extra feet mean? 10 more people, 30 more people for the service on a Saturday morning, 20 more cars. It is within your remit to say that it changes beyond what is reasonable the quality of life in our neighborhood. So I charge you that you have enough in front of you to deny this application.
Yet we don't have the authority. What you're asking us to do is act as code enforcement. That is not our authority.
Come on Saturday morning and see other
Have you reported that to code enforcement?
We have. We had the police come.
Okay. But police are not code enforcement.
Okay, we
You
really.
understand our situation.
We
Understood.
Absolutely.
We're gonna hold it open. We're not gonna make any decisions.
Yeah.
I'd like to understand it's going to be held open.
Oh, for sure.
Not making any decisions anytime soon.
Yeah, we're gonna wait to hear from code enforcement.
Well, no, we're not gonna wait to hear from code enforcement.
We're gonna wait for Katie to do.
I'm gonna do that tomorrow. We're gonna take all of the testimony and make a
And if
decision
you have
based
other
on the
materials you'd
5-part
like to
test.
submit as written submissions, please feel free to do so. We want to take a look at the law, the references that you gave us on there.
Yeah, so was there anyone on Zoom?
Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on this application, 40 Winding Way?
No one has their hands up, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Is there anybody else that, no?
I think the point's been made, and very, very forcefully.
Yes, and we have heard you. That's for sure. So I am,
Madam Chair,
Wait, hold on a second.
just one quick question. Just for the record, could we get a memo from you or your applicant or attorney with articulating your view of how you meet the 5-part test for the record?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yeah.
so I think
And you want a copy
that would
too,
be
right?
helpful. I think.
And any rebuttal.
And send a copy to Ms. Struck, okay?
Sure.
Okay.
And I think,
Andrew, send, when you do it, make sure you copy Nika Strunk. She's the attorney for one of the neighbors.
Okay.
She'll send you her information.
Perfect. Thank you.
okay, I for one, would like to hold the hearing open. I want to gain an understanding of the case law that's been submitted and any other case law that you think is relevant for us to see.
I agree.
I think there's enough here that justifies not coming to a decision tonight. So I am going to move to hold the matter open until such time as we have an opportunity to review relevant materials that are submitted. I guess we need to set a date for that.
I would not do the 3rd of July. I
Correct.
would do the 17th of July at the earliest.
Okay.
Or,
that's
no,
a
but
bad
that's
day.
a bad
That's a
day.
bad
So
day.
you want to
That's
do
a bad
August?
Yeah, because,
August 7, where there's already 11 things on?
Listen, you can't hold this open for 3 months. These are minor variances, so it's, I think you have to put it on sooner rather than later.
July 3rd.
Well, we're going to be absent 2 people at the July 3rd meeting.
I would suggest 7/17.
7/3 or 7/17.
She's not gonna be here, 7/17.
I still have room to work around 7/3, if I'm not mistaken.
We have two.
We have
Two
2
people out.
possible
Two people
people
who are gonna
out
be
that night.
Oh.
So that's one of the reasons not to put it on.
7/17. Second.
And, hold on, Andrew, does the 7/17 work for you to come back?
Sure.
Okay.
And you can get that memo to us before that
That's-
meeting.
That's good?
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Of course.
Okay, so did you make the
Second.
motion?
Yes, I'm moving to hold the matter open and hold the hearing open until 7/17.
I second that.
Okay, Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
7/17, it'll be that. And you can
Mr.
zoom if you're not
Macedonia?
gonna be here.
That was me, I said it.
Oh.
No, he said
Mr.
Mr.
Redmond?
Who?
I'm getting confused. I'm confusing you with Bob.
Yeah.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
All right, chair votes aye. Okay, and you voted no, right, John?
Yes. I voted no. Thank you, everybody.
Okay. Moving to number 10 on the agenda, the application of Eva Shea Family Trust, 285 Surfside Drive, Bridgehampton, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-117-2-23. Applicant requests relief from the following provisions of the Town Code. 1, Section
Hold over.
138.
This is a holdover, you don't have to read it.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay. Just a little simpler.
I think.
Good one to follow though, so.
So did I swear everybody in
Breath
for
fresh air.
both Fred and I, but not Michael yet?
Okay.
Let me swear you in. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the
300
truth?
feet sounds good.
Please state your name and address.
Michael Lamont, 48 Foster Avenue, Bridgehampton, New York.
Susan, how do you spell his last name? I can't remember.
Lamont, right?
Okay.
So, all right, so where are we on this application?
Well, so since last time we met to discuss this application, we evaluated the questions that were raised by the board. Firstly, we reviewed the location of the elevator to see if we could locate it within the existing footprint. This is not feasible due to the existing foundation layout. The foundation currently is not designed to be able to support the load of the elevator and would require the project to be much more invasive to provide the proper structural integrity that the elevator would require. The elevator is proposed in a location, as we discussed, that allows for the required grade beams to be tied into the existing foundation and allows for minimal disturbance to both the dwelling and the site. Secondly, we looked at the use of a stair chair, and this is also not feasible. Mr. Shea does utilize a wheelchair, and so the elevator would allow him to have access to the second floor of the dwelling where all the living areas are located by himself. Using a stair chair would require him to have assistance both getting in and out of the stair chair. So that would require the Shays to have full-time help to assist him. And then lastly, we evaluated the property for relocation of the dwelling. This is cost prohibitive and is a much more intensive project than the application that is proposed. Relocating the house is simply not feasible at this point in Mr. and Mrs. Shea's lives. The core of the application is accessibility to the existing home so that Mr. and Mrs. Shea can continue to enjoy their Bridgehampton home as independently as possible for as long as they have left. We're here to answer any other questions that the board may have. We did review both referrals in which the planning department and Marty Shea and the conservation both supported the construction of this elevator.
But they also said not to do, what was the thing? No objection to construction, which will provide, access. Do not recommend approval of the proposed grade beams and pilings outside.
Janice Shearer did have that
That's right.
standpoint.
Yes.
Really, our goal is to get this elevator we can construct without the additional grade beams and pilings and have a structurally sound house. While we think that it is a good time since we'll have that equipment, we are okay with removing that scope from the application if that means that we can have the elevator approved.
I think that that would be necessary to do.
Yeah.
Anything else from the board? I thank you so much for
Yes.
all the considerations that you gave. And so it looks like it's, being favorably looked upon if you do remove the plans for the grade beams and pilings outside of what's needed for the elevator.
Shannon, also, can you submit, I don't think I brought this up at the last meeting, but can you do that rider for me that it meets the criteria in 13822? I think we've done that for other applications. Because when the board gives variances from the coastal erosion section, there's a special section of the criteria for variances.
Okay,
You know what I'm
rider.
talking about? I
I
think you
don't
did a
think
rider for it. Well, either way, it's
I will, if I have
Jeff-
any issues, I'll reach out to you.
section 138-22 criteria for variances.
Okay. We can prepare a memo and submit it to the record.
And then can you submit a revised plans eliminating
For sure.
that other part? Okay.
Okay.
What Janice had said,
The grade beams and pilings, not needed for the grade, like second grade beams.
Katie, just so that we're clear, is just updating the plan sufficient enough, or would you like the survey updated as well to remove?
Are they on the survey?
We did show
those
that.
additional beams, then
You need to revise
remove
those.
those too.
Just a couple, first couple of that and go to the last one, it's too expensive.
Okay, is there anybody else on the board who wishes to comment on this? Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to be heard on the matter of 285 Surfside? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard?
No one on Zoom.
Okay, this is mine. So I am going to, we're going to close the public hearing. We will hold this open for written comments until June 20th with a decision on July 3rd.
Second.
I'm fine with it.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Ms. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your time.
Okay, number 11 on the agenda, the application of Lynn Leahy, 15 Tarpon Road, East Quogue, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-362-4-8.
I said my time to review his plans.
We'll hear from the applicant first.
Just say okay.
I was prepared for the two neighbors last time.
Yeah.
Also,
We
we
haven't
have
had
to
any
say.
chance to
We
review
we
anything.
need to hear from the applicant first. They'll
I
definitely,
can't just ask for,
no, we gotta hear from the applicant.
okay, but how do I?
Well,
how do I
once
find
they-
my
once-
clients?
Wait, wait.
You'll have an opportunity.
You'll have time.
Yeah, but I don't even know what they're looking to do. I have like six stuff. I'm asking for this to be,
All right, let's
they
hear
submitted
from-
plans an hour before
I-
the end of the day today, an hour.
You'll have a chance
So-
to
yeah.
let us know.
You'll have a chance to comment about that.
Give us a minute. You'll have an opportunity, and if we warrant it, if we think it's warranted, we'll hold it open.
Okay, so what's going on?
Daphne Vaughn, Surfside Environmental Planning. I'm here with Mike and Lynn Leahy, the owners of the property. We did submit revised plans. The architect was having some issues with his computer program, so we didn't get them in until earlier today. I did email them 2 days ago to Candace. So to just go over the changes, when we were here last time, we discussed reduction of the proposed pyramid. We were at about 51 cubic feet. The owners have made some changes to the house to lower.
5,100 maybe. You said 51.
5,100.
Yeah.
5,100, sorry, I'm ahead of myself. in my brain.
5122 to be precise.
Yes, thank you. So, we, they lowered the house about 3 feet. We had originally shown a garage underneath, and the house elevated to 14.3 feet, I think it was initially. So now it's lowered by about 3 feet to eliminate the full height garage underneath. It would just be a crawl with storage with a ceiling height of 5'10". They reduced the ceiling height of the first floor down to 9 feet. And the second floor is at a minimum height of 7 foot 1.5 inches on the ends of the house, with cathedral ceilings to allow for, full height ceiling that would meet New York State building code. So we've reduced the overall ask for the pyramid from 330.84D about 40%.
What's the number now?
So the total now that we're requesting is 2,989.7 cubic feet, and that's equal 1,494.85 on each side.
That's
What's the
40%
total again?
reduction.
Yeah, the total was?
987.
2.9, okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
2,989.7. So it's like I said, a 40% reduction. They lowered the ceiling heights. It's basically the same.
I can't read anything on
I know.
these, even when I use my camera on the phone. Is there some place where we have the actual calculations of the pyramid?
Oh yeah, that's the page.
Oh, here we go.
What page is that, John?
Should be the last
The last
one.
page,
The last
A10.
Okay.
He's got a chart that he shows, where it's all coming from, and it's equal on both sides of the residence.
What's the height of the building now?
The height is 3 feet less than it was before, so it's
All right, well-
conforming with that.
Okay, but what was it before? Because that I couldn't read on the plans.
Hold on. Yeah, the roof pitch was also changed. Where's my height? I think it's at elevation 39, which would be, what is that? It was at elevation 42 before, which I think is the max you're allowed with FEMA. So it's at elevation 39. So, but the house is, FEMA calls for it to be at a first floor elevation of 10.
Right.
So the house itself is starting at elevation 11, where you're walking on the first floor. So 11 to 39 is 28, 28 feet. Okay, sorry. Math.
It's starting from the FEMA
Starting
elevation.
from, first floor elevation is where you would take the height of the house from. You're just not allowed to exceed elevation 42 above sea level, so this would be at 39.
Okay. Okay.
And just to remind the board, because we received a wetlands permit on this property because of the water frontage on the canal, we're allowed 50% reduction in setbacks, side yard setbacks, essentially, for 338K. So we're holding a 10-foot setback, which is pretty customary in this area because of the wetland constraint issue. So the house is largely the same, we just moved it down and changed the pitch of the roof a little bit.
Okay, so the structure inside is the same
Yeah,
layout.
essentially the
Yeah.
same layout. They were trying
You
to
have
not.
a crawl space instead of a
Yes,
full
instead of a
garage.
garage.
Okay.
Yeah, so they basically sacrificed storage, full height storage in order to try to maintain the living space that they need for their family.
Okay. John, do you have anything you want to?
Are we just asking for pyramid relief on this?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a front yard setback for the porch.
Okay.
The covered porch.
And how much is that?
That.
Are there any other houses?
From 60 to 35.
No,
Let me finish.
I'm done.
It's 22.9
other
feet
attorney
where
on here,
30 is allowed.
Okay.
Yeah, it's
And 7.1 feet.
Yeah.
Okay.
Are there any other houses nearby that have an equivalent pyramid relief that you could provide to us?
No.
Okay. I still think it's massive for the lot. And I'm just gonna say,
How much of the pyramid relief is due to the
well,
raising it due to
okay,
FEMA?
well, we're not having a debate, but other than, the pyramid relief is considerable for
Because
the neighborhood and the lot size. That's all.
Okay. Anybody else? Because again, I appreciate the fact that you have worked on trying to reduce the pyramid relief request. I don't have a problem with the setback, front yard setback. And
How do you
you know,
feel about the pyramid relief?
I'm not feeling terribly anxious about it, let me put it that way. It looks like there are a bunch of houses next to you that are quite large.
Yeah, there's a couple
a
big
lot
Yeah,
of
they're
houses
quite
in
large.
Church Shores have
Next to
expanded.
mine? No. There's only one new house next to me. The rest of
No,
them-
large, not
Brand
new.
Yeah,
The brand new.
Yeah.
Yes, and there's a bunch, everyone's
The one
doing it.
with
You drive through the neighborhood, there's huge homes, way bigger than what we're building.
So I
Anybody?
will say in the plans, the architect, part of what took him so long is that he did show the difference on A6B of the existing house versus the proposed house and the pyramid changes. So in reality, it's these two, and he did it so that it's equal
Yeah.
on either side, so it's part of rooms on the second floor, essentially. The whole first floor has pretty much been taken out of the pyramid, where before we were contending with both first floor and second floor pyramid issues.
But it's a single-story house now, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, you're gonna look
Yeah.
at that and it's gonna look very different, obviously, it's.
It's different.
Yeah.
The newer house, they're all cottage, they're mostly cottages.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of big houses on that road.
Yeah, and each house that sells is. we
Well-
held on to it for 5 years.
Yeah. All right, is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard?
Good evening, Board. Brian Butler. I'm an attorney. I'm retained by Ms. Maskia and Ms. Hedberg, 17 Tarpon Road, 13 Tarpon Road, either side of this property. We've been here before regarding this. I'm a little confused as to when someone first applies for a variance, the neighbors receive plans, proposals, and so forth, but for my client calling, finding out that this was still on, because last time we were here, they were speaking nicely about, oh, we'll work this out. We had no knowledge of this. When I did call the clerk today, I said, can I get a copy of the plans or something so I can come and speak educatedly to the board? They said, no, you have to foil that. I said, this was submitted an hour ago. How am I going to get a foil on new plans? So I'm a little confused as to why they have to serve prior, but when they change the plans, the neighbors and the residences around don't have to receive anything.
Well, we encourage that, but there's no requirement that the property has to be reposted, no new requirement that it has to be advertised, no requirement that they have to give you copies of anything. I mean, we encourage it. You heard the board say that before.
And I can appreciate that, but I don't really feel that's proper notice for the other residents within surrounding areas. I mean, not just this case, just in general, that should be changed. Like I said, but for my clients being diligent in this, they would have their say, my clients would have nothing
So
to
you
say.
think the town should just constantly be scanning things and sending them to every single neighbor? Did you see how many people were in opposition to that last application?
No. I believe it to be the person that's filing, that it's their requirement to serve the proper neighbors that are.
It's
and then provide proof.
But that's sort of beside the point. I
get you,
I
you
get your
understand what
point,
I'm
but it's sort of,
Right now, I can't speak educatedly because I don't have the set of plans. So I originally came up here asking.
Take mine.
Thank you.
No, but look, what we do
I'm asking for it to be adjourned so I can review them.
But you can
to
ask,
talk.
yeah, you can ask for that now. We
Yes.
had to hear what they said.
Okay. All right. I just didn't think that was necessary because now I have to foil the plans, review these. So, all right. I'm asking this to be adjourned so I can come back and speak candidly for my clients.
May I just ask, were there any discussions between you and or your clients and the applicant in the period between the last hearing and now?
The only thing said was in the hallway leaving about he didn't know about the pyramid law and he would do bushes and he would do all this. Other than that, there's been no communication.
Which reminds me, did you put anything in about bushes and other things or not?
No, but they've clearly stated they don't have an issue with that. The issue would be if there were large screening put up between the properties, then their views might be impacted down the canal. So that's something.
Whose views?
The neighbors, yeah.
I mean, basically, I know you said you saw pictures of larger houses. Once again, there's nobody in this neighborhood that has had to go over the pyramid law. They might be large houses, but they still remained within the pyramid law. And that's all we're asking for. I mean, a 3,000 square foot grant is excessive.
Okay.
Do you have an extra set of plans to give them right now?
You can have mine because I do have another set at home, so you can totally have.
Okay, is the sense that we should adjourn?
I think the gentleman needs time to
I mean,
review.
in addition to the fact that we also just received these plans. So, it's very hard for us to really take a careful look at them, having just received them the night of the meeting. So I think.
And usually we get the building department to confirm the totals too.
Right.
I would also just add, it's not a requirement, but as you know, we do encourage people to speak with the neighbors who are raising issues.
Can I say something about that?
Please.
So we spoke right outside there, and what she said is absolutely not correct. I didn't say I didn't know about the pyramid. Obviously, I knew it because it was in our drawings.
Right.
We just came in here seeing what we needed relief for. You asked us to make adjustments. We made adjustments. I took away the ceiling height, took away the garage, trying to conform or get it to and something that's acceptable. I spoke to my neighbors out there, gave them my phone number, said call me with any questions or concerns. I said, of course I'm going to put up screening. My neighbor Gina at 17 said the neighbor that built the new house didn't put any windows up on their side, so they don't have any issue with them building their house with the windows for the privacy. I drove the next morning, they have 7 windows on that side.
Untrue. Right. That's
So
what they said.
I was trying to get where we can get possibly relief, a variance, which people in the neighborhood have gotten variances, obviously not for pyramid, but they've gotten relief for a backyard, front yard. And I told them, of course I'm going to put up screening. I want as much as privacy as you want privacy.
Thank you
And
for
I don't
clarifying.
want to take their privacy away from, their view away from the water. I said, well, maybe I'll just put it up along the houses and then shorter shrubs going down, so you don't lose any view. And you guys already said that view is not part of the issue anyway.
There is no view. I don't
Right.
even know what the heck you're talking about. Well, we don't do it on the basis of views.
But I opened the door for them to communicate with me.
Okay.
No one called.
All right, well-
And one of them lives next door to me, so.
Well, maybe they will now.
Share the
One can
plans.
always hope.
Take a look. share the plans,
I
take a
think their
look.
attorney should encourage them to do so.
I think that there is some resistance on the board for the pyramid relief. I don't know how significant it is. I actually have not seen this property. I may try to go over and see it before we read it.
It's also in the FEMA district, which part of the issue is.
What was that?
Yeah, it's a,
It's in FEMA district.
Yeah.
yeah,
It's always gonna be.
yeah, it's always gonna be an issue, yeah.
And I don't wanna ask for
No,
relief.
I asked Daphne.
Towards
The house is-
water.
I should say it's not compliant with FEMA right now.
But it will be.
Right.
Yes.
Okay.
We're
What does that
upgrading-
mean? What do you mean?
It has to be raised, the height.
Yeah, technically the house is lower than the required FEMA
think
first
it's a
floor
10-foot.
elevation.
Requirement.
And so, go on.
So in order to reconstruct the house, you're required to comply with FEMA.
Correct.
So we are complying with FEMA,
Required to raise
exceeding
the
it by 1 foot in order to still maintain some kind of usable storage space
Mhm.
under the house. It's a 5'10" crawl, so it's not,
And then that
able to be habitable space.
necessitates the pyramid relief.
well, yeah.
But no, not necessarily. I mean, they're building a 2-story house. They currently have a single-story house. They can raise the grade to the 10 feet necessary and put a single-story house there. Then they're not
You're not
going
gonna
in
be,
that
can't-
you're
pyramid.
not gonna
If
bring
you've
fill in.
ever dealt with Marty Shea, you can't raise the grade on anything.
I'm not saying the grade,
ever.
but you can lift it, put a new foundation in, and
You can't ask me to live in a single-story home when I want a two-story home.
There's two-story
I can
homes
ask you
also
if that's
up there.
that's
All
what they
right,
allow
okay.
per law.
Okay,
This is-
this
this
is,
is
this
banter
discussion
back.
has gotten, you know, let's get
John
back
shows,
to
yeah.
John. Wanted you, let's do an
You wanna adjourn
adjournment.
it?
All right, Candace, when,
Did you ask for anyone on Zoom?
is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard? Is there anybody on Zoom who wishes to be heard on 15 Tarpon Road?
No one.
Something? Is there a possibility that the first floor, instead of being 9 feet? Daphne, could you do that at 8 feet? And then give us another number in terms of your encroachment? It doesn't have to
Helen,
be.
are you saying to do the first floor ceiling height at 8 feet instead of 9 feet?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna make a tremendous
Why don't you
difference.
could you do that and let me know what the new number is, please? That would make a difference to me.
I would like to see that.
Thank you, John.
It's the minimum variance necessary.
What?
It's the minimum variance necessary.
Correct.
Exactly,
So
exactly.
I just
Well, let me
wanna,
ask
I
you a
just wanna
question.
clarify,
If I
hold
lower
on
my
1
8
second.
foot,
I just wanna clarify to you, Helen, that the second floor has already been lowered to the maximum extent possible.
Heard that already, Daphne.
Okay.
Right. But the first floor hasn't. So if we could get a calculation.
So let me ask you a question. So instead of lowering my first floor, which is 9 feet now, to 8 feet, what if I lowered the crawl space a foot and kept my 9 feet? Because for resale purposes in the future, everything, it's hard to sell a brand new house that has 8-foot ceilings in it.
Why don't you do the calculation of losing 1 foot, whether it's
Somewhere.
from the first floor
Right,
or
I
from
got
the
Do it
crawl
from the
space?
basement.
Wherever.
But he doesn't.
Be creative.
And
He
just,
doesn't have to lower the floors. He can just move in. It's the pyramid, so he can basically take
he
the
has
second
7.5
story.
foot on the sides now.
I agree, but
Yes,
he
so
can
he's
still,
all right.
bring it more to an A-frame
All right,
rather than.
yeah, all right, okay.
As you
Take
class
a look
tonight.
at the plans
Okay.
and come back for the adjournment. But if you could do that calculation of 1 foot, but, you know, do it where you want it, you know, 1 foot, where you could live with the 1 foot.
Where
I
we
mean,
can
I
make the
am
adjustment.
improving the neighborhood.
I
Yeah,
know,
we're
we
asking for
appreciate it.
relief.
Oklahoma's
Yeah.
winning.
We appreciate
If it was
it.
conforming, we would be here. Correct.
I know, and
Okay.
you know, it's,
That's-
yeah,
that was- If it was conforming, we would be here, he would be here, and everybody would.
I agree.
They wouldn't even be notified that the house would be reconstructed.
Right, I got you.
Okay, so from the crawl space or from the first floor? Okay, and you can submit those to us in advance, that would be helpful. All right, so Candace, what are we adjourning to?
I'm actually looking to see how many of these new applications I have, so I do have, that's the thing, I do have, you know, applicants that have been waiting, they've already been in line, waiting for their public hearing.
Okay.
So there, I have probably
Are we going
6
into
or 7
August?
on July 17th, like I said, I do have that other application coming, which I may have to already move other people, so I don't think 7/17 would work.
So
Because I don't wanna
How's
some of the
8/7?
schools already been waiting for their first public hearing.
How's August 7th?
Am I one of those people?
Actually, yes, you are.
Oh.
How would
Three-minute
August
rule.
7th be for you?
How's August 7th?
It's,
That's the soonest,
that's what we're
August
okay.
7th? No.
Yeah.
That's
Why,
not good,
before
sir.
I leave here, if that's the 1 foot issue, and we do take it from the bond,
But they
is
can't
that all there is, or is there something else?
They need
We-
to
we-
see the
You have to see the
calculations.
calculations.
We gotta see the numbers.
Right, so then
You
August
can't
goes
tell me
into.
what number you're looking for.
No. Oh, we can't, because every case is different.
I know.
I
Zero?
can tell you
Okay.
that if you have conversations with your neighbors, it's gonna be a lot easier.
Yes, all right, and if you could continue a conversation with the neighbors, that'd be helpful. So John, go ahead.
So we're gonna adjourn to 8/7?
Yes, second.
Mr. Redmond,
Aye.
Mr. Mastonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane. Aye. Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, thank you very much for your work so far. So let's see what we can do.
In your event, though.
Okay, number 12 on the agenda. Application of Elizabeth Girardi Schoen, 11 East Dunellen, Hampton Bays, Suffolk County Tax Map number 900-299-1-26.1. And my question is, where is everybody?
Hi, Liz. Did
They're
you
coming
have
on.
copies of these?
She said I was to give those to you.
Awesome, thank you. Thank you very much.
Have I sworn you guys in before?
Well, the last time, that you were here.
Yeah.
All right, well, that's good enough.
Now I get to see
Three dimensions.
They were on Zoom.
And our architect is joining us.
They look much nicer in person.
Okay, so just for the record,
Pass one. Do you want
just
the
for the
original?
record, if you could repeat your
Want to
names
pass one?
and address for the file.
One,
Yeah, Elizabeth
pass one.
Girardi Schoen, 4 Summit Avenue, East Williston.
Okay,
Robert K. Schoen, 4 Summit Avenue, East Williston.
Thank you.
and I think I swore you in the last time, didn't I?
He was here.
It was here, yeah. Okay.
Jerry, do you have sound yet?
Yes,
Okay, Jared,
can you
could
hear me?
just say your name and address, please?
Okay, my name is Jared Mandel, architect, 25 Hillside Avenue, Williston Park, New York, 11596.
What am I passing out?
Plans and
Oh, wait.
survey.
Let me just take one here.
Redos, and there's a note with a summary.
Oh, where's the note with the summary? That was-
The cover letter.
Oh,
Where is
can anybody
that?
hear me?
Oh, this is me.
It looks like this.
That's why I got the big one.
Well, maybe,
Pass it down to you.
everybody should have one.
No, wait a second, is there extras of the cover letter?
I gave them to Candace. Hold on.
All right, give Bob one, please, because I just stole his. Oh, wait, I found mine, never mind. It certainly has, thank you for your patience. Okay, so tell us about the changes.
Jerry, you'll do this.
Oh, it's the same.
Hello?
You want me to?
Hello?
You hear us?
Hello?
Yes, do you hear
You
us?
can hear us.
Oh, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I wasn't sure who was talking, so it's kind of blank, the screen, but I could see myself, but that's about it. So it's not a pretty picture, but. I will, I'll run you through some of the changes. Obviously, Mr. and Ms. Schoen went through the motion and exercise as the board had suggested, that they talk it over with the neighbors after our prior presentation, which I could go through those numbers or what's required, but I think for forward progression and how I'll address this, I had issued a letter kind of describing the changes that we made, which we think was a good middle ground as the Schoens had discussions with the neighbors, and we had made some changes which we felt hit a good ground. So kind of just getting right into the presentation, because I believe last time I covered most of the explanation of where the project stands, but if the board needs anything, I'd be more than happy to give more information. But from the last presentation and from the changes that we did from last presentation is we had moved the house back in summary and moved it to the west and the north. Getting into those numbers, moving the house back, which was a concern of the neighbors, as they expressed at the hearings, we chose to set the house back. It was 35.53 from the road, now it's 40.02. So it's roughly around 5 feet moved back. We went to, with the side yard number 1 on the west-hand side, we changed that setback from 26.8 to 20 foot 2, and the rear yard setback from 23, well, on the north side, sorry, not rear yard setback, side yard setback number 2 on the north side, we changed from 23.8 to 20 feet. So we essentially moved it back, still in compliance with the setbacks. The rear yard just happens to kind of be the outlier that kind of goes hand in hand with, as we move the house back, that rear yard, we'll call it, on the angle, goes from 48.28 to 40.47 feet. So essentially, we've made changes in building location. The second modification that we made is in related to the height. We had changed the height of the first floor from 10 feet to 9 feet, which brought the house down in scale as well at the request or accommodating the comments from the neighbors. So we moved it in that direction. As I did mention at the last hearing, we did the best we can with it, even at the first hearing, that there would be some impact if we did make those moves. And as we made those moves, the pyramid law square footage increased. So essentially, it increased from 109.4 square feet to 236 square feet. And it increased from the 270 square feet to the 896 cubic square feet. So it had an impact as we moved it back in one way, but it helped in another way. So we think that these changes that we've made, we're hoping it accommodates, and makes everybody happy, I guess is the best way to say it. And hoping that, the board can help assist us in what's best for the neighborhood, obviously, and hoping that, the board tonight can agree with us and it appease the neighbors well enough that there's not as much resistance or friction.
We sat with them in a room, which is what they've asked us to do. That's what you see. As I recall, the biggest concern that they had was from the road. And you've added 5 feet to that. And Kevin, you had a question about the road, where the measurement is.
Yeah, what would be really great, if the road, the right-of-way is probably wider than the road itself. Or is it? And I'm sorry?
It's paved.
Yeah. Well, it's
Go ahead.
a sign up, but it's the road.
Mm-hmm. I'm not sure what your question is, though.
So most roads are narrower than the actual right-of-way for the road and where the property lines end and begin. And it would be interesting to the architect. If you could show us on the survey where the pavement on the road in front of the house actually
It's a very narrow road. I mean, it's a lane, really.
It's a one-lane road.
One lane. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
pretty much.
Jared, you understand my question? What we're trying to physically appreciate is where the pavement on the road ends and where the property line ends and what the setback to the street, physical street pavement is.
it's more than
Yeah,
So it's
it
more
could be-
than-
Yeah,
it's more than
yeah,
that
I wish
number.
I would have been prepared with understanding this request. I would have 100% been able to depict that on a plan, but being that, a surveyor would have to be involved to answer that question, it's,
I can tell you that the pavement is smaller than what that right-of-way is.
Correct.
Because there's already been discussions
All
around
right,
that.
so what you're doing, your calculation, you're taking it from the right-of-way, not from the pavement. So if the pavement is smaller than the right-of-way,
then actually it's probably further than 40 feet.
Then the road, from the road.
And that's what.
Yes,
that was your
that's
point.
Yes,
definitive,
and-
100%.
And
Yeah,
I'm-
that's,
I wouldn't ask you to have a survey to show that out of curiosity, but it would be helpful for us to understand what, even if there was an approximation of what that distance was, that would be helpful.
Okay.
You understand my question?
yeah, I'd have to have a drawing that actually shows where the pavement is in relation, or I'd have to have a property staked out. It's a request that would be pretty difficult without measuring tapes and everything like that, or a surveyor.
But the concept is correct. Am I right on that? That the,
Well, that's why I'm asking.
yeah.
I mean,
That there's way
I'm not
more
sure what's
room
being
than the
asked. I
front
don't
yard
understand.
setback.
okay, a right-of-way for a road could be 30 feet wide,
Mm-hmm.
dead center on the pavement,
Mm-hmm.
and the road itself is only 15 feet wide.
10 feet or 15.
That leaves, what? 15 divided by 2, 7.5 feet on each side, not paved, but in the right-of-way, which means an apparent road that had a 40-foot setback to the house would be 47 feet from the pavement, where you would ride your bike or walk, a dog
Yes.
or a stroller.
Mhm.
So I can't tell.
But that's important.
That's a
Why?
positive.
For the perceived distance, because
Yeah,
the property
yeah,
line,
yeah. I'm just
we only
trying-
take the setbacks from the property lines.
I
That's
understand
right.
that.
That's the, but the perceived distance is what,
Right,
you
I'm
know.
trying to evaluate that in the context of the relief being asked for the front yard relief.
Whether the perception is that it's deeper
Yeah.
than it actually is.
If it's true, I don't even know.
It's a very narrow.
I'm
road.
okay with it.
But,
Yeah, I mean, what I'd say is that honestly, we were at the point of last discussion where we were talking about that, there was many different things that we could have done, and this is the most drastic position to push it back. I mean, we went above and beyond to push this as far back as possible. I don't even know how we could push it back any further, so even if for some reason it was perceived, it seemed if we pushed it back far enough, it seemed like we were meeting the requirements of the board. And we went to a point of where we can't push it back anymore.
no,
I think this applicant has gone above and beyond.
I think they've done a very good job of trying to.
Yeah, if I may
Just like
finish.
we met with 6 neighbors.
Yeah, I think they've gone above and beyond in working with their neighbors to come to a compromise that makes everybody a little bit unhappy. So that's when you know you have a good compromise. And I thank you for the work that you've done, both you and your architect.
Masterful job the first time, so.
Yeah.
Did you save that tree that you were attached to in the back?
There's the problem. We've now moved towards that fence, and now I don't know if I can save that.
I hope you can.
Well, it's 30 feet high. What do you think that would cost?
Oh, God.
All right, are there any more comments from the board?
No.
Is there anybody in the audience who wishes to be heard on this application?
Oh, nice. Oh.
Are you next door neighbors?
I would like to
You're
be
on
heard.
Dunellen?
We're actually on Carmel.
Okay.
I'm trying to raise my hand.
Okay, yeah, is there
I wanna
anybody on
hear.
Zoom?
Yes,
Okay, we'll let you in, and then you can make your comments.
thank you. Can I be heard now?
Yes.
We can hear you, we can't see you.
Yeah, I don't know why you can't see me. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, please.
But wait a
Okay.
second,
My-
before you
my
go
name
ahead,
is
wait,
Barbara-
Barbara.
Wait.
Wait.
Right, you want to swear me in?
I do want to
Yes.
swear you in, thank you.
Sorry.
Okay,
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Please state your name and address, please.
My name is Barbara Pierce, and I live on the west side of this property at 9 East Donnellan.
Okay, Barbara, what are your comments?
Okay, first, I believe the road is a private road, it's not a town road, so I don't know if there's any right-of-way involved with that, but that's not for me to answer. Anyway, I do appreciate the changes that the applicants have made to accommodate us, And moving the structure a few feet and lowering it by a foot are minor changes, but every little bit helps. However, these changes don't really address the main problem, which is the size and mass of the building. The application for the zoning variances asks why variances are being requested. The applicant's response is that the property has hardships as an undersized and irregular shaped lot. I suggest that any hardship is self-imposed. The property was only purchased a few years ago, and the lot size, shape, and zoning have not changed. The applicants knew what they were buying. The application also asked about the effects on the neighborhood. The applicant's response was that the variance will not cause an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood. The neighbor's disagreement with that response was expressed very clearly at the last hearing and doesn't need to be repeated. The size and mass of the proposed structure and its location very close to the road, requesting a variance of 30% of the required front yard, will change the neighborhood dramatically. The structure is so large partly because the participants want a 2-car garage as part of the building. They have also included cathedral ceilings in their plans. These reduce the living space on the second floor. Therefore, the footprint of the building is much larger than it needs to be for the amount of living space the applicants want. The difficulties the applicants have in meeting the zoning requirements are because of the choices they have made. These choices have led to the decision to request a front yard variance that is substantial for this property and neighborhood. Of course, you don't have to get your neighbor's permission to build a house. That would be absurd. Nothing would ever get built. We depend instead on the town and its building and zoning codes to protect the character of our neighborhoods. When you choose not to follow those rules, however, you do have to ask for permission from the town. I ask you to consider these factors when you make your decision about this application. Thank you.
Thank you,
Also,
Barbara. Barbara,
As in
is
the
that-
previous case, we just received copies of the plans today. So, we've just had a chance to do a cursory look at them. Thanks.
Okay, there is an opportunity for submitting more written comments if you wish. Okay, is there anybody else? Anybody on the board? Okay, this is yours, John.
I move to close the public hearing on this application, hold it open for written submissions to June 20th with a decision on 7/3.
Second.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Ribbon?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? Aye. Chair votes aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Appreciated.
Nice to see you.
Good night.
Okay. Now up to decisions.
Okay, up to decisions. Let's find where our decisions are. All right, oh yes. All right, Julie, do you want to start with the amended decision?
Thank you for coming. Thank you.
Thank you. Amended decision in the matter of Ellis Beladoff and Ada Greenberg, Suffolk County Town Map 900-269-1-23. This amendment is for property located at 7 Sun Valley Road, Hampton Bays. On April 17, 2025, by decision number D025043, this board granted variances for a proposed detached garage. These variances were granted after 2 public hearings and discussion with the board recommending that the distance from the front lot line setbacks for the garage be increased from 20 feet to 35 feet. This modification, however, also shifted the location of the pool and spa. As a result, the pool and spa are now located within the required side yard for the principal dwelling. As the board acknowledged previously, the premises is an undersized lot with challenging slopes that is improved with the dwelling significantly set back from the road, leaving limited space for accessory buildings and structures in the rear yard. Since the proposed pool and spa still maintain conforming accessory setbacks, this board finds that the request to locate the pool and spa into the required side yard for the principal dwelling passes the standards set forth in New York State town law and the town code. Therefore, this board amends ZBA decision D025043 to grant relief from Town Code Section 76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and Town Code Section 330-83C yards to allow the proposed pool and spa to be located within the required side yard for the principal building, as shown on the hardscaping plan last dated March 18, 2025. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
1 second, it was, the tax map number was 21. I had written down 23. So I just wanted to correct that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Is there a second?
Second.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, I have a decision in the Brian Farrell, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-62-1-10. This application is for property located at 11 Robbins Lane, North Sea. Applicant seeks variances to construct a new single-family dwelling with attached garage on a non-conforming waterfront lot extremely burdened by wetlands and 2 front yards. While this board is aware of and has considered the opposition voiced by the community, neighborhood, and adjacent property owners, it does find that after multiple revisions, as modified, the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of the Town Code for proposed dwelling with attached garage on a non-conforming lot. 1. Town Code Section 330-84D Pyramid Law for a pyramid encroachment of 1,457 cubic feet. 2. Town Code Section 330-83K yards as it relates to Town Code 330-11 Resident Districts Table of Dimensional Regulations for a principal front yard setback of 12 feet where 30 feet is required, and a rear yard setback of 25.2 feet where 35 feet is required. 3. Town Code Section 330-103 corner clearance to allow for a portion of the principal dwelling to be located within the corner clearance area, 25 square feet of the garage, and 4. Town Code Section 330-83A yards to allow a deck with the height of greater than 1 foot within the required front yard, as shown on the floor plans and elevations prepared by Will Minier, Architect PC, last dated April 21st, 2025, and the survey prepared by John M. Abruzzo, PLS, last dated April 28th, 2005. Grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises, including the modification of the wetlands permit to 1. Reflect the revised building plans, 2. Remove the roof top deck from the permit and plans, and 3. Ensure that the naturally vegetated wetland non-disturbance fertilization buffer is accurately depicted on the survey, all prior to the issuance of a building permit. Is there a-
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
No.
Ms. Burgess?
No,
Chair votes aye. Okay. John, you're next.
Okay. Decision in Ronan E. Siltonrich, Suffolk County Map 900-315-3-7. This application is for property located at 5 Central Avenue, East Quogue. Applicant seeks a variance for a pyramid encroachment for a proposed dwelling on a non-conforming lot that is 60 feet wide. After initially requesting almost 8,000 cubic feet of encroachment, the applicant worked with the modular company to propose a different style house, thereby reducing the encroachment to almost half. As modified, this application passes the standards set forth in New York State law and the Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the Town Code 330-84D Pyramid Law for a sky plane encroachment of 4,217.06 cubic feet on the north side of the proposed one-family, two-story dwelling on a non-conforming lot, as shown on the survey prepared by Floyd Carrington, L.S., of Rayner, Marks, and Carrington Surveying, last dated April 29th, 2025, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Paul W. DeLandro, P.E., last dated April 24th, 2025. The grant of this foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for a final approval of the subject premises.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Mr. Leonard?
No.
Mr. McDonald?
No.
Ms. Burgess?
No.
Chair votes aye. Okay, Kevin, you're next.
Sorry, thank you. Okay, so this is, I'm going to make a motion to approve the application of Hildreth Homestead LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-88-1-17.28. This application is for property located at 120 Hildreth Avenue, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a variance for a pyramid encroachment to elevate, renovate, and expand a one-family dwelling. This board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the Town Code, Section 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a sky plane encroachment in the amount of 1,021.5 cubic feet, in parentheses, 893.3 cubic feet on the west side and 128.2 cubic feet on the east, to elevate and expand a one-family dwelling as shown on the survey prepared by John F. Barilski, licensed surveyor, last updated January 10, 2025, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Lisa E. Zaloga, registered architect, dated January 29, 2025. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicants have already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the maintenance by the applicant and all successors in interest of screening.
Second.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Okay, Bob?
How do we pronounce that last name? Louis A. Idroboro Ergeles, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-260-2-19.1. This application is property located at 12 Ocean Avenue, Hampton Bays. Applicant requests relief for the proposed accessory building structures on a non-conforming lot burdened by 2 front yards. After modifying the project to eliminate variances and reducing the size of both the pool and the cabana, the board finds that this application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the following provisions of Town Code. 1, for a proposed pool, Town Code Section 330-6, general regulations that references Town Code 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensions and Regulations for an accessory distance from a lot line of 20.2 feet where 50 feet is required, and an accessory rear yard setback of 6.8 feet where 10 feet is required, and 2, Town Code 330-76D, placement of accessory buildings, structures, and uses in all districts, and Town Code 330-83C, yards, to allow the pool to be located within the required front yard for a principal building, and 2, for a proposed cabana, Town Code Section 336, that references Town Code 330-11, for an accessory yard setback of 6.1 feet where 10 feet is required, and for accessory rear yard setback of 6.2 feet where 10 feet is required, and 2, Town Code 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a total sky plane encroachment of 242 cubic feet on a non-conforming lot as shown in the survey prepared by Pat C. Secafico, licensed land surveyor, last revised April 24, 2025, and the pyramid midline diagram prepared by Vincent J. Trocchia, resident architect, last dated May 5th, 2025. The grant of the relief is subject to other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, including the submission of a revised survey to update the rear yard lot coverage calculation prior to the issuance of the building permit.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Ms. Kane? Aye. Mr. Redhand?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? I didn't hear you, Helen.
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Okay, next one is mine also. This is for the application of Hans Decker, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-83-1-2.2. This applicant This application is for property located at 439 Hayground Road, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a variance to convert a pre-existing dwelling into a carriage house and construct a new dwelling. Importantly, applicant stated that he is in the process of applying to landmark and preservation for the pre-existing dwelling. With this in mind, the board finds that the applicant passes the standard set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 339D4A, density incentive provisions, to allow a lot area of 47,545 square feet where a minimum of 60,000 square feet is required, 1.5 times the 40,000 square feet required, for the conversion of a pre-existing one-family dwelling into a carriage house as shown on the site plan, building plans, and elevations prepared by Oza Sabbath, last dated March 13th, 2025. The grant of the relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises, and is further conditioned upon the official landmarking of the pre-existing house prior to the issuance of a building permit for the new dwelling.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. All right, who's next? Julie. Child.
Michael and Marika Schaub, Suffolk County Town Map 900-323-1-28. This application is for property located at 21A Gardner's Lane, Hampton Bays. Applicant seeks a single and separate determination as well as for proposed setback relief for both a shed and swimming pool on a lot located in the RWB zoning district. Based on the testimony and evidence submitted, the board finds that the subject premises, that is Suffolk County Town Map 900-323-1-28, is held in single and separate ownership from all adjacent parcels and thus entitled to relief pursuant to Town Code Section 330-115D, as shown on the survey prepared by Gerard D. Lenz, last updated March 16, 2025. Specifically, it should be noted that while this board does find that the setback requested passes the standards set forth in the New York State Town Law for the granting of variances, Town Code Section 330-4 as it relates to Section 330-115D5 provides for, among other things, accessory side and rear yard setbacks of 10 feet for lots with areas of between 0 to 39,999 square feet, and as such, no setback variances are required for the proposed shed or pool.
Second.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Redmond.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Helen, I'll read your decision in Gregory Lutherow. Am I pronouncing that correctly?
Sounds good to me.
All right. Suffolk County Tax Map. I was looking at John because he's our
I would say it would be Luthrow.
Luthrow. Okay, thank you.
Possibly.
Gregory
I don't
Luthrow, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-221-2-8. This application is for property located at 19 Bellows Pond Road, Hampton Bays. Applicant seeks a total side yard variance for a proposed addition to a one-family house on a non-conforming lot located in the Aquifer Protection Overlay District. This board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from Town Code Section 330-115D continuance for a total side yard of 27.91 feet, where 40 feet is required for proposed additions to a one-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot, as shown on the site plan dated April 1st, 2025, and the floor plans dated last dated December 19th, 2024, page A through 6. Of the elevations, I'm sorry, I'm having trouble reading this. Of the elevations dated March 26, 2025, and page A7 of the elevations dated March 19, 2025, all prepared by Stephen Morris Keller, R.A., granted the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Who seconded?
Yeah, I did, yes.
Okay. Mr. Macedonia?
Aye.
Ms. Kane?
Aye.
Mr. Leonard?
Aye.
Mr. Redmond?
Aye.
Mr. McDonald?
Aye.
Ms. Burgess? I'm sorry, Helen, I didn't hear you.
Aye.
Okay, chair votes aye. Okay, John, you're next.
decision in Nina Wajostas.
All right, John.
John, I looked over
Wotus.
to him.
What?
Wotus.
Wotus? Thank you. Nina Wotus, Suffolk County Tax Map 900148-3-23. This application is for property located at 11 June Avenue, Flanders. Application seeks variances to construct a new one-family dwelling on a non-conforming lot. After modifying the proposed roof line to reduce the pyramid encroachment, this board finds the applicant passes the standards set forth by New York State town law and town code. Therefore, the board grants relief from the following provisions of the town code for a proposed one-family dwelling by Town Code 330-6, General Regulations. The references 330-11, Residence District Table of Dimensional Regulations for a total lot coverage of 20.7%, where a maximum of 20% is permitted, and Town Code 330-84D, Pyramid Law, for a total encroachment in the amount of 3,208.94 cubic feet, as shown on the survey prepared by Kenneth M. Wychuk, L.S., last revised April 12, 2024, and the floor plans and elevations prepared by Robert Struski, R.A., last dated May 6, 2025. The grant of the foregoing relief is subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Is there a second?
Second.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
No.
Mr. McDonald.
No.
Ms. Burgess.
No.
Chair votes aye. Okay, you've got a next one,
That's
Chair.
right.
Yep.
Atterbury LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900233-2-38. This applicant is for property located at 20 Westway Drive, Shinnecock Hills. Applicant seeks to legalize an addition made to an existing dwelling pursuant to a building permit where two dwellings are located on the premises and as such required ZBA approval. Since the expansion is under 50% limit, the town code for a non-conforming use and the addition and renovation conforms to the town code, the board finds that the application passes the standards set forth by New York State town law and town code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the town code 330-116 extension that relates to a town code 330-167B1A specific type of variance to permit the expansion of a one-family dwelling of 810 square feet that is situated on a parcel with a second one-family dwelling, leaving only 455 square feet remaining of the 50% expansion on the premises. The decision is subject to the conditions of such other permits as the applicant has already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for a final approval on the subject premises, including ensuring that no stormwater runoff be discharged onto the adjoining body of water.
Second.
Mr. Redhand.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Pardon me? It was Kevin. Okay, I have one, Permelin of Bridgehampton, 360, LLC, Suffolk County Tax Map 900-83-1-22.1 and 23.5. This application is for property located at 2102 and 2204 Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton.
Sorry,
Applicants-
2044.
2044?
I have an extra two in
All
there.
right, sorry, 2044, Montauk Highway, Bridgehampton. Applicant seeks a parking variance of 6 spots in order to accommodate stalls used exclusively for customer pickup and 2 additional cart corrals throughout the site. This board finds that the application passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, this board grants relief from the Town Code, Section 330-95, Schedule of Off-Street Parking Spaces requirements for non-residential uses, to allow a total of 1,247 parking spaces, where 1,253 parking spaces are required in connection with 2 lots located in the SCB zoning district, as shown on the site development plans prepared by Dale E. Koch, P.E., dated December 19, 2024. Grant of the foregoing relief is also subject to such other conditions and permits as applicant is already acquired and may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of subject premises.
Second.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Ms. Kane. Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Redpen.
Aye.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess. Chair votes aye. Okay, Kevin?
Okay, thank you. I'm going to make a motion to approve the application of A. Robbins Valentine Jr. and Stephanie B. Valentine, Suffolk County Tax Map Number 900-316-1-27. This application is for property located at 4 East End Avenue, East Quogue. Applicant seeks a variance to legalize a deck rebuilt higher than 1 foot above ground level used to access an existing dwelling without a permit. While this board does not condone construction done without permits, it does find that the applicant passes the standards set forth in New York State Town Law and Town Code. Therefore, the board grants relief from the Town Code, Section 330-83A, parentheses 4 yards, to allow a deck construction higher than 1 foot above ground level without the benefit of a building permit to remain in the required front yard for the principal dwelling as shown on the survey prepared by John Minto, LS, dated March 21, 2025. The granting of this relief is subject to any such conditions and permits as applicants have already acquired or may otherwise have to acquire for final approval of the subject premises.
Second.
Mr. McDonald.
Aye.
Ms. Kane.
Aye.
Mr. Leonard.
Aye.
Mr. Macedonia.
Aye.
Mr. Redpen.
Aye.
Ms. Burgess.
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Do I have a motion to close the meeting?
Motion to close.
Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Meeting's closed. Turn off your.